The scene shows an isolated castle in the deep of a forest. In the castle lives a mage who is greatly feared and hated by everyone. Zagan is the name of the mage. Just then, an elf girl with a slave necklace on her neck appears. The scene goes back to the morning before the two met. A girl is attacked by her comrade. Before the man approaches her, the girl slaps him on the face and his fake skin comes off. The man then cuts her dress open with his blade. It turns out the man wants to peel a virgin's face. Hearing this, the girl realizes that her fake comrade is actually a mage. However, as he wants to execute his plan, a man appears from behind and stops him. The man is shocked to find Zagan, and he notices that he has entered Zagan's territory. Zagan then crushes the man's head, killing him in an instant. Meanwhile, the girl faints as she has never seen blood that much. Seeing the unconscious girl, Zagan intends to use magic to fix the girl's dress and remove the blood stain. Meanwhile, her memory about her fake comrade being a mage still exists. As Zagan notices the girl is wearing a cross on her neck, he realizes the girl is a person from the church, which becomes the enemy of a mage like himself. Although he will be accused of being the perpetrator for everything that happened, he feels it doesn't matter because he is used to it. Zagan performs a magic circle, but then he notices that his magic circle is being hacked by someone. He knows that the person who did this is his fellow mage, Barbatos. Even though Barbatos looks evil, he is the only friend Zagan has. Thanks to this man, we also know that Zagan is a mage who only cares about buffing magic power for himself. Zagan even becomes famous because he is very apathetic towards those around him and doesn't even care about others. Barbatos looks at the girl and feels that she has quite strong magic, and he asks his friend to leave her to him, which Zagan flatly refuses. As Zagan is about to leave, Barbatos stops him. When they discuss the lifespan of the mages, Barbatos starts talking about the demon lord Marcosius. It is told that there are 13 demon lords in this anime, and one of them is the demon lord who died at the age of 1,000 years. Although feeling annoyed with Barbatos, Zagan asks him what he wants to say. Barbatos then tells Zagan that a great auction will be held around Keanoids. It is also said that several valuable items will be auctioned, and one of them is the demon lord Marcosius' legacy. Interested in the said legacy, Zagan decides to go with Barbatos. Barbatos walks like Zagan and promises that he will give him girls in return. Zagan refuses his offer because he thinks that girls are bothersome. Just then, they spot several knights who look busy. Zagan is curious about them and is informed that it has something to do with the girl's kidnapping incident in the city. Moreover, Barbatos tells Zagan that he has become one of the suspects. Zagan finds it ridiculous because he thinks that the idea of making sacrifices for magic is a troublesome thing. Arriving at the auction venue, they find the auction has already started. Barbatos tells him about several noted sorcerers who are also present at the event. They are Kimmer's the Black Blade, Remery the Enchantress, and Wolfer the Spirit. Hearing the names of the sorcerers, Zagan realizes that they are powerful sorcerers. They, as well as Zagan and Barbatos, are candidates for Demon Lord to replace Marchosius. The scene switches to Gremory and Kimmer's, who are talking about Zagan and Barbatos. Different from Barbatos, who is known as the Purgatory, Zagan is the only sorcerer who doesn't have an alias or a title. The auction has come at the waiting part, and everyone is shocked because the last item is not the Demon Lord legacy as rumored. Apparently, an elf girl is the last item at the auction event. The elf is believed as a rare elf because she was born with white hair. After the auctioneer explains her details, the auction opens at 10,000 curio coins. Unexpectedly, Zagan gives a high offer to the girl. Barbatos is surprised by Zagan's action and asks him what magic he will test on the girl. Meanwhile, Zagan still feels strange about his heartbeat. He then approaches the elf girl but is unable to speak when he faces her. He finds it hard to talk to the girl and make what he says sound ambiguous. The auctioneer then explains that the elf girl is always kept from being defiled, and it is believed that ordinary magic will have no effect on her at all. The scene switches back to the beginning of the story. Zagan looks confused because he never talks to anyone except Barbatos. After thinking about several topics of conversation, the elf girl starts to talk and asks him how he will kill her. Zagan is shocked by the question and denies it because he will be in great trouble if she dies. However, his response is misinterpreted by the girl while glancing at the torturing devices in the room. She thinks that Zagan will kill her the easy way. Zagan notices that the tools belong to the previous castle ruler and he never cleans up and moves the stuff. Running out of words, Zagan decides to introduce himself, but he also has difficulty when he wants to ask the girl's name. After mentioning her name, Nephilia asks Zagan to call her Nephi. Although Zagan already knows her name, he still finds it strange because Nephi doesn't have a surname like elves in general. But he is later shocked by Nephi's confession. Zagan blushes when Nephi convinces him that she is a virgin. Same with Barbatos, Nephi also thinks that Zagan will make her a sacrifice or a specimen. Zagan denies it and makes Nephi wonder why he bought her. Zagan then comes to his senses and is confused about which room to put Neffy in. He finally works up the nerve and walks towards her and intends to walk her to her room. However, Neffy misunderstands his intention. Hearing her response, Zagan understands Neffy's suffering since she became a slave. He believes she must be intimidated to be the sorcerer's specimen. Even though he doesn't understand what the cursed child means, he knows that Neffy doesn't want to explain. What he knows now is Neffy doesn't have a home to come back to. Zagan thinks of himself and feels that he is alike. Not only he doesn't have parents, but he even steals some food to eat or picks up food from the trash. Moreover, his name also comes from what people called him. After recalling the memories, Zagan asks Neffy not to say things like death or something. Neffy is surprised to hear Zagan's words and she begins to put her trust in someone in front of her. After thinking of putting her in a room with a nice view, Zagan offers her to stay in a room located in the tower of his castle. Again, Neffy misunderstands his intention and thinks that she will be hung with her hands or her neck first. Just then, Neffy loses her balance and is about to fall. Zagan quickly reaches her hand and saves her. He holds her hand and walks her to her room. However, as he opens the door, they spot a dreadful guillotine in the room. Zagan tries to explain and deny it, but it is not enough to convince Neffy and also himself. Zagan, who is afraid that the situation will become more complicated, is seen using his magic to destroy the guillotine. However, Neffy is shocked and terrified because it is the first time she has witnessed such powerful destructive magic. Zagan, who has only interacted with a sorcerer who is the same powerful as him, makes him constantly face problems when dealing with something normal. They enter the room, and even though it looks dingy, as Neffy walks towards the balcony to see the moon and wants to reach it, Zagan thinks that she likes it. Although she is not sure about what she likes, she asks to be allowed to stay in that room. Although it looks dingy, Neffy likes the room her master prepared for her. Zagan gives her permission to stay in the room and Neffy thanks her, surprising him because it has been a long time since he last received such sincere gratitude. Hearing her master's response, Neffy also feels it has been a long time since she thanked someone sincerely. The next morning, Zagan looks like he couldn't sleep all night because Neffy is sleeping in his room. He couldn't let her sleep in her new room because it was dirty and not suitable for occupancy. Not long after, Neffy wakes up and she tidies up her master's rope, which she used as a blanket. Zagan enters the room and is speechless to receive a morning greeting from Neffy. He thinks of several responses to her greeting, but is unable to say it properly. He then gives her food for breakfast. Neffy is surprised to see her master eating the same food as hers, which is usually given to slaves. Zagan is shocked when he finds out that the food he has been eating all this time is similar to fodder. At first, he thinks that Neffy is angry, but as he studies her expression, she looks more concerned than angry. While eating his food, Zagan realizes and admits that dried jerky is not a suitable food for him. Apparently, it has become a habit because when he was a child, he only ate dried meat and stale bread. When he reveals what normal people usually eat, Neffy suddenly asks permission to go to the city for grocery shopping. However, Zagan forgets that he is broke after he bought Neffy for 1 million Cairo coins. Realizing that, Zagan then invites Neffy to walk from there. While walking, Zagan thinks of how to earn money and thinks about selling the torturing devices in the castle. However, he cannot do that because he doesn't have any coins to pay the carrier. He then thinks of robbing the coachman, but he doesn't do that because he knows that Neffy will hate him. He even thinks of selling his castle and living a modest life with Neffy. While thinking of a way to earn money, they see the coachman who is being robbed by several bandits. Zagan, who looks calm and doesn't care about the incident, suddenly changes his mind after seeing Neffy, who looks scared. Zagan assumes that Neffy is still traumatized after being kidnapped, enslaved, and even sold in an auction. The bandits are surprised to find a sorcerer and try to fight him. The bandits, who don't know the level gap between them, have to take Zagan's power. After knocking out the boss of the bandits, the other bandits call for their master. It turns out their master is a sorcerer just like Zagan. The sorcerer appears mysteriously and greets them. However, the unnamed sorcerer is no match for Zagan, who is one of the next Demon Lord candidates. After successfully making the bandits leave the scene, Zagan looks at Neffy, who is looking at him, and thinks that he made a mistake again. However, as he is about to say something cool, everyone he saved laughs at them. Afterward, not only does he receive gratitude from them, but he is also offered some money if he is willing to escort them to the city. After receiving the money, Zagan feels overwhelmed because it is the first time he gets rewarded, although he had often chased the bandits away. He thinks that it is thanks to Neffy, who is on his side. Later, they join them to the city. Sitting on the back of the carriage, Neffy asks Zagan why he saved them from the bandits. At first, Zagan is about to say that he did that so she won't be afraid of the bandits, but he changes his mind as he thinks it is a great chance to seal her heart with his sweet words. However, it only exists in his mind as he cannot say a thing. Long story short, they arrive at the town and Zagan takes Nephi to the clothing store since he knows that Nephi will feel uneasy if she is offered where to go. As they enter the store owner suddenly acts strange as she finds a sorcerer in the store. However, she changes when she sees Nephi, who looks beautiful even though she is a slave. When the store owner named Manuela takes Nephi to try on a dress, Zagan notices Manuela's expression when she looks at Nephi's slave chain and realizes that it is very conspicuous. Then Nephi comes out with a new dress, shocking Zagan. Zagan then tells Manuela to choose a normal dress for Nephi, much to Manuela's dismay, who has already had several outfits for Nephi to try on. Finally, Manuela finds a modest dress for Nephi. Zagan then asks Nephi's opinion about the dress, but she replies that she will accept everything her master gives her without complaining. Therefore, Zagan asks her sternly so that she will answer him properly by asking Manuela to dress her in his sexy outfit. Seeing Manuela bringing sexy underwear, Nephi finally says that she likes the maid outfit she is currently wearing. Getting out of the clothing store, they head to the equipment store. There, Zagan asks the shop owner to unlock Nephi's chain because he doesn't want everyone to think Nephi is the property of the demon lord Marcosius. Unfortunately, the shop owner reveals that the chain is sealed with magic and it will kill Nephi once someone tries to get her unlocked. The only way to release her is by using the key of the chain. Zagan, who knows that no one in the auction event had the key, assumes that the key is somewhere in the demon lord Marcosius' castle. Before leaving the shop, Zagan gives several coins to pay but is refused by the shop owner. The shop owner reveals that a year ago, Zagan rescued him and his daughter. However, they were frightened to see a sorcerer at that time. They left without thanking him or anything. Although Zagan doesn't remember it, the shop owner states that he will remember his help forever. Outside of the shop, Zagan thinks of what he went through today. He feels like he got many thanks from everyone and assumes it must be because of Nephi. Afterward, Zagan takes Neoli to a restaurant. Before enjoying her dish, Nephi asks Zagan why he wants to unlock her chain. She also asks him if he isn't afraid that she will run away from him once the chain is unlocked. Although he is afraid that Nephi may run away from him, he tells Nephi not to think of running away from now because he still cannot unlock the chain. Nephi agrees and she looks at the steak in front of her. Zagan thinks that Nephi cannot use the cutlery, but it turns out she is recalling her dark past when she could only look at a happy family enjoying their food while she was alone in a corner with spoiled food. She then says that it is her first time eating such fancy food. Hearing this, Zagan realizes one of the reasons he is interested in Nephi is because he and Nephi have similar pasts. Zagan looks at Nephi, who puts a cherry tomato in her mouth. Zagan says she cannot taste the cherry tomato until she bites it. When she does it, she says that it tastes delicious. Strangely, Zagan wants to copy her, but it ends up embarrassing himself when he cannot pick up the cherry tomato from his plate. Nephi then feeds him with her spoon. Nephi asks permission to take the initiative that is useful for her master. After giving permission, Zagan feeds her back to return what she did to him before. They then leave the restaurant after being the center of attention. Zagan thinks that he and Nephi can be called master and servant with a very good relationship. The scene switches to the angelic knight whom Zagan saved the other day. She recalls what happened on that day and remembers the figure who saved her. She feels that although the look in his eyes looks cruel, at the same time his eyes show loneliness. Just then, a priest named Cladwell comes in and surprises the knight. Cladwell states he has found the person behind the current girl's kidnapping incident and he suspects Zagan the sorcerer is the perpetrator. The knight tries to deny it, but Cladwell believes that the sorcerers are evil and he doesn't even care, although Zagan is not the culprit. Feeling it is not right, the knight offers herself to investigate the case. The scene switches to Zagan, who has a nightmare. He wakes up from his nightmare and finds Nephi waiting for him. She tells him that his breakfast is ready. Zagan is surprised to find Nephi waiting for him until he wakes up. Meanwhile, Nephi feels like it doesn't matter because she can look at her master's face while he is sleeping. In the dining room, Zagan is surprised to see the room has changed and it looks vibrant and extravagant. Zagan spots 2 loaves of bread and asks Nephi when they bought the bread. However, Nephi replies that she baked the bread. Just then, Zagan notices Nephi's ears twitching, indicating she's feeling happy. After learning that Nephi only prepared breakfast for him, Zagan offers to share his bread. Nephi replies that she also prepared only 1 chair for him. Unexpectedly, Zagan quickly asks her to sit on his lap and have breakfast with him. Although feeling shy, Nephi obeys her master's order. Zagan then feeds her even though he knows that Nephi is currently enduring her shame. In return, Nephi feeds him a spoon of soup and Zagan comments that it feels warm. Zagan quickly explains that it is the soup and Nephi says the same thing, although she hasn't tasted the soup. The scene shows Nephi coming to her master's in the library. She asks him what he is studying and he replies is magic. Nephi comments she has guessed it, but because she doesn't understand the pentagram her master drew, she asks her master about that. Hearing this, Zagan assumes that the elves' magic is different from the sorcerer's magic. Nephi then explains that it is because she is an elf who cannot use magic at all. In his monologue, Zagan regrets that because Nephi has a larger amount of mana than other people. Afterwards, Zagan teaches her about the basis for creating power-creating magic, which is said to be a letter left by a god or the sorcerer's agreement with demons. He also teaches Nephi about adding a pattern above the magic circle. Later, Zagan is impressed with Nephi, who notices that they can add another pattern between his magic circle, although it has a high risk of failure. Zagan comments that with good mana control, it can be done. Nephi assumes they can hijack someone's magic. Zagan confirms and says that if someone can use such magic, there is no magic that can affect that person. Zagan comments that Nephi has the potential to become a sorcerer and teaches her about sorcerers who must set up tricks and traps in their magic circle. Nephi is told not to touch stuff there. Nephi comments that she feels happy because she can talk to her master casually. Flustered, Zagan excuses that it is because they talk about something he masters about. Nephi then asks a question about her master's ultimate goal of seeking great power, but she quickly apologizes after learning her master's expression. She apologizes that her question is not polite. Then Zagan tells her about his tough childhood. He used to be beaten by people in the market and even captured by sorcerers to become their specimen. Fortunately, he managed to turn the table and intended to become stronger to survive. Moreover, he says that what he desires is immortality. Nephi comments that he never thinks of becoming stronger. Zagan approaches her and intends to teach her magic. Suddenly, he feels several people coming to his castle. Zagan then tells Nephi to prepare dinner for both of them because he feels like his guests won't stay long in his castle. Meanwhile, Chastil and her elite knights feel like they are only wandering around in the same area. Realizing it is barrier magic, Chastil uses her sacred sword to remove the barrier around the castle. Afterwards, Zagan appears in front of them and realizes that the female knight in front of him is the person he saved the other day and also one of 12 sacred sword holders who killed the demon lord in the past. The battle is inevitable, and 2 knights are knocked out easily. Zagan tells the 3rd knight not to fight him if he doesn't want to see Chastil carrying 3 useless knights. However, the 3rd knight doesn't listen and tries to attack Zagan but ends up being knocked out. Chastil asks Zagan why he didn't kill him. Zagan explains he only wants to spread horror to everyone, so he lets his victim live and bear the shame all their lives. Hearing that, Chastil feels that Zagan is lying right now. Apparently, Zagan doesn't want Nephi to be frightened if she finds dead people around the castle. After learning that Zagan will kill his victims, Chastil intends to launch an attack. Chastil asks Zagan why he was tainted by magic. Zagan responds and asks her back what crime a person commits who only learns such a thing. Unfortunately, Chastil has been indoctrinated about the sorcerer's evil deeds, and she doesn't want to hear Zagan, who says that the angelic knight's power is equal with the sorcerer's power. Surprisingly, Chastil manages to corner Zagan, and he begins to realize that Chastil is holding back all along. Zagan hits the tree behind him, and as Chastil tries to attack him, Zagan thinks that doesn't have an option but to kill her. Suddenly, Chastil asks him to pretend to die. Zagan doesn't believe that an angelic knight like her can say such a thing. Chastil explains although Zagan said he wanted to spread terror, his eyes show mercy. Moreover, she states that she won't forget him who saved her life. Hearing that, Zagan believes that she is serious with her words because an angelic knight who protects a sorcerer is considered a great crime. Zagan feels like he cannot escape from Chastil and is afraid that Nephi will be their target. Just then, Nephi comes out of the castle and makes things more complicated. One of the knights throws a spear toward her, but Zagan quickly jumps to save her, and he ends up injuring himself. Zagan pulls the spear out of his hand and tells Nephi he is fine. Suddenly, he feels something is going on around them, and at the same time, the trees around them sway in the wind, which suddenly comes. Afterward, the tendrils of the trees appear and attack the knights. It turns out Nephi controls the tendrils and attacks the knights. Fortunately, Zagan manages to stop her from going further and saves the knights. Zagan is impressed by Nephi's real power, which she showed previously. Later that night, Nephi treats Zagan's wound while Chastil and the knights left the castle. Chastil apologizes for involving an innocent person like Nephi. After treating his wound, Zagan asks Nephi, who previously said she cannot use magic. Nephi explains that it was not magic, but she refuses to explain what it was, although Zagan asks her what it was. Zagan tries to convince her, and she finally speaks up. She asks Zagan if he was afraid of her power. Zagan admits he was shocked because he hasn't seen such power before. She then explains it was called mysticism. Then sorcery and mysticism are 2 different things. Zagan explains mysticism is different from sorcery, which has to be comprehended by logic, while mysticism can be used just by asking the nature. Zagan thinks that all elves can wield such power, but Nephi explains she is the only one who can do that. That's why she is called the cursed child. It also explains why she was discriminated against by her people until one day her village was attacked and the villagers asked her to use her power as payment for letting her live. Hearing that, Neffy felt like she heard something from somewhere and she ended up getting caught while the other villagers ran away in despair. Seeing Neffy, who looks regretful about her thoughts, Zagan understands why she didn't show any emotions. Neffy apologizes to Zagan as she thinks that her master is disappointed with her. To her surprise, Zagan praises her because if he were her, he would have killed all the villagers and the raiders. To free herself from regret towards her fellow villagers, Zagan asks her to forget them because dead people cannot complain to her, and becoming stronger is the only way so as not to be seen as weak. Moreover, he states that becoming stronger is not a crime. After she stopped crying, Neffy felt embarrassed about her undignified display just now. She asked, "Do your hands still hurt?" Zagan said, "Come to think of it, the pain seems to have gone away. The wounds have disappeared." It turned out that just now he had touched Neffy's cheek, so his wound was healed. This is the power of mysticism. It's much more potent than healing sorcery. He found it impressive and said, "Thank you, Neffy." This surprised Neffy because that was the first time he had said that to her. Zagan was shocked because that meant he hadn't said a single word of gratitude to her. At bedtime, Neffy didn't sleep in her room but brought a pillow to Zagan and asked to sleep with him, surprising him. Zagan asked, "Neffy, do you understand what you're saying?" Neffy said, "This castle has only one bed, so you always sleep in that chair. I think you'd be able to rest better if you laid down, so I thought you could join me." Zagan was a bit disappointed because he realized that it wasn't that she was making physical overtures. She truly wanted to share a bed for sleeping purposes. He said, "I appreciate your concern, but this is the anchor point of my barriers. Should anything happen, it's important that I'm in this room." Neffy said, "I thought that might be the case, which is why please use my lap." Hearing that, Zagan was extremely excited. Obviously, he couldn't turn that down. He wondered, what is this mixture of embarrassment and comfort, to say nothing about the very imposing view? He was curious about what brought this on. Neffy said, "You said it was all right for me to stay here after learning about my mysticism. I wanted to show my gratitude." Zagan said, "Thanks aren't necessary. You've already been doing a great job." He asked, "Neffy, are you interested in learning sorcery? Based on what I saw today, you don't have a lot of control over mysticism. Considering how much power you display in spite of mana-limiting collar, I'm not certain that learning sorcery will help you get a handle on mysticism, but you could at least use it to defend yourself." Neffy immediately agreed to learn sorcery because she wanted to protect her master, but Zagan would have preferred she did it for her own sake. So Neffy is now his apprentice. He never even thought about having one until now and trusting the knowledge and techniques he had gathered to someone else. Neffy asked him, "In the story you mentioned earlier, you made it sound like your power meant you didn't understand how the weak feel. Are weak people not even allowed to live? Does flaunting your strength really make you so great? You made it sound like it didn't mean much, but I think it must have been painful for you. When you were talking about it, you looked very sad. You're not a bad person, Master. You might not talk much, but I will never forget how kindly you've treated me." Neffy's words brought Zagan to tears. He thought that this isn't bad at all. It would be nice if they could have more moments like this. The next morning, Barbatos came looking for Zagan because he had heard that Zagan had angelic knights on him. He heard one of them even had a sacred sword. Seeing that Zagan was still safe, Barbatos guessed that even the maiden of the sacred sword wasn't a threat to Zagan, but Zagan said she was pretty strong. She managed to destroy a few of the barriers around the castle. "Speaking of, could you please stop breaking through them whenever you show up?" Neffy brought tea to Barbatos. He didn't pay attention at first, but was immediately shocked to see that this elf was still alive. He asked Zagan, "That's the elf from before, right? You haven't used her as a sacrifice yet? Don't tell me you're letting her live for as long as she serves you." Zagan told Barbatos that Neffy is his apprentice. This surprised Barbatos. Zagan said, "There are sorceries that are hard to handle on your own. Neffy will come in handy." Barbatos said, "Using an elf. There's probably no sorcery that he can't pull off. The idea never occurred to me." Zagan understood that Barbatos was talking about her like she was an object. Zagan does it sometimes too, but hearing it from someone else was taking him off. Barbatos asked Zagan, "Is her power how you chased off the angelic knights too?" Zagan said she did have a hand in it. Yes. Barbatos guessed that explained the mess outside. Barbatos asked, "You're after one of the Archdemon seats, aren't you?" Zagan said, "Why wouldn't I be? All Zagan really wanted was the key, but with an Archdemon's authority, fewer people would risk coming after Neffy. The truth is, Zagan unlikely be chosen right now. It's only been a decade since he began studying sorcery. There are others who have been doing it for several hundred years. In terms of accumulating knowledge and experience, he simply can't compare. But as long as he stays alive, there's always a chance he can take the next open seat." Zagan told Neffy, "This goes well with the black tea. Very tasty. She was thrilled to hear it. Barbatos asked, Zagan, you haven't gotten attached to this girl, have you? I guess you still got some humanity intact after all. Barbatos then left and Zagan wondered, what did he even come here for? Nephi asked Zagan, aren't you friends? Zagan said, don't be ridiculous. You need to choose your friends carefully or they'll only become nuisances. But Nephi saw that Zagan seemed to be having a good time. Zagan wondered, do I enjoy talking with that idiot? That's absurd. Nephi is just mistaken. Now then it's time to repair the barriers damaged by the angelic knights. This is a good opportunity to teach Nephi the fundamentals of sorceress circles. From that point on, Nephi worked hard on her sorcery lessons while also attending to the castle. Thought being alone is somehow sweeter than Zagan had anticipated, and little by little, Nephi began to express herself more. As for mysticism, she still seemed to have trouble controlling it. Zagan told Nephi you can use some decent sorcery now. He wondered if he could just get rid of that collar. Before he knew it, he had been living with Nephi for a month. Suddenly, Nephi heard a loud explosion. A beast brought Zagan a letter. This was a shock. It seemed the 12 Archdemons were calling for him. The trading hub, cannabinoids underneath this town are ruins used as a lair by the late Archman, Marchosias. This where the 12 current Archdemons had all gathered and were waiting for him. The question was, what did they want? Zagan stepped inside and felt incredible pressure from the 12 Archdemons. One of them said, I had heard you were young, but you're an actual child. Interesting, the youngest to ever be chosen, then. Zagan felt like throwing up from the pressure and the intensity of their mana. Forget being in the sights of a snake. It felt like he was in one's stomach already. These are the apex sorcerers, the Archdemons. He said to them, was I summoned just to be gawked at? Because if so, does that mean I can go? They laughed and said, you've quite the nerve to take that tone with us. Let's spare the pleasantries then. Sorcerer Zagan, you have been chosen to be our 13th comrade, an Archdemon. This is the Archdemon brand that Marchosias left behind. Taking the sea of an Archdemon is the process of acquiring one of these emblems. Zagan wondered, what the hell is that emblem? The density and quantity of mana is absurd, and I'm going to inherit it? I can feel a similar power from everyone else here. I see, so being an Archdemon isn't just a title you earn. Considering the kind of power they wield, I can see why ordinary sorcerers are powerless against them. They asked, what's wrong? Something not to your liking? Zagan said, not really, other than this doesn't make much sense. There are sorcerers much more powerful than I am. They said, a natural doubt to have. Your power is still insignificant, but despite that, there is no witcher who can kill you. The first sorcerer you killed, Andrus the Accursed, was by no means weak, and yet despite that, you were able to turn the tables on him, taking his life and all his knowledge. How is it that an 8-year-old boy was able to strike down a sorcerer who had earned his second name? You were able to learn his sorcery with a single glance. Not just that, but you grasped its function in that single moment. That is why you were able to construct completely unique sorcery. Your sorcery is worthy of all. Your talents, worthy of resentment. Should you decide to take from others, none would be able to stop you. Should you decide to kill, none would be able to survive. Should you crave it, all others would have little choice but to surrender their sorcery to you. The tyrannical power fitting for an Archdemon. In time, you will become the greatest sorcerer in all history, which is why you will be made an Archdemon now, despite your fledgling status. All is for the sake of knowledge, all so that we may master sorcery. Zagan said, if what you're saying is true, that'd mean I could take from all of you, wouldn't it? They laughed and said, indeed, but mind yourself, boy. Know that we could take much more from you than you would be able to take from us. An Archdemon's wrath is nothing as simple as destruction. It is an erasure of all things you have ever known, be they man, material, or memory, until your very existence is no more. That is the nature of the beings you face, and the nature of what you will become yourself. There will be no peace and no tranquility, from the shadows of sorcery into an even darker abyss, a pitch-black void where not even a single ray of light will penetrate. That is the world that is calling to you. Zagan already knew all of this. From the moment he became a sorcerer, the moment he was forced to become one, he knew a normal life was out of the question. The final destination for a sorcerer is one of two outcomes: become one of them or die in obscurity. Turning back was never an option. He wondered, can he really drag Nephi into that darkness? They were waiting for Zagan's answer. Zagan said, there is something I want. If I can have it, then I'll accept. They asked, what is it you wish? They accepted Zagan's wishes, so Zagan humbly accepted the position of Archdemon. Let us welcome our new company, Archdemon Zagan, and let us grant him his second name. Afterwards, Zagan returned to his castle with a thoughtful expression. He's been on a road where there's no turning back but Nephi. She's finally got a chance to live something similar to a normal life. He told Nephi that he's become an Archdemon. He showed her the mark of the Lords of Sorcery. Other sorcerers have to obey them. They stand at the top of the rest. As part of his appointment, he's obtained all of Marcosia's property, which means he can remove the collar. The collar was removed. He said, "As an Archdemon, I have no more use for you. Please leave." Zagan's words shocked Nephi. Nephi woke up and wondered, why is she here? She remembered she was preparing dinner. It was lamb stew. Master had loved it before. She wanted to see him make the same face. She had better hurry back, but she saw that collar. She remembered that her master got rid of her. She was surprised that she wasn't crying in spite of what happened. After he said she could stay with him while Nephi was upset, Chastil accidentally saw her and recognized her as Sorcerer Zagan's maid. Nephi knows Chastil an angelic knight. She asked, "I'm going to be killed here, right? Go ahead, you may cut off my head or do whatever you please." Chastil said, "No, don't get me wrong. I don't want to hurt you. People around wonder what's going on over there. Isn't that Nephi? Is that angelic knight picking on her?" Manuela appears and tells Chastil that don't you have any shame? Just because you're an angelic knight, you can't bully a frail little girl like her. Before Chastil could explain, the surrounding people were defending Nephi. They think Chastil is bullying her. "Look at her, she's so pale. You must have done something to her. Get lost, angelic knight, you heartless brute." This caused Chastil to completely collapse. Nephi explains to them that Chastil didn't do anything to her. Manuela asked, "Then why do you look so pale?" Chastil cried and said, "I told you I didn't do anything. I would be worried too if I saw a girl with a pale face." Then all three girls went to a restaurant to talk. Chastil is sorry for showing an unsightly side of herself earlier. Nephi explains that she has met Chastil before, but someone else injured Zagan, not her, and that person has already paid for it. Now Torres is extremely frightened when he sees plants. Manuela said she would pay for this meal for Nephi, but Chastil had to pay for it herself. Incidentally, this was the dish that Nephi made for Zagan last night. She cried because she remembered that memory. Manuela said, "The two of you should cry to your big sister all you want." After talking for a while, Manuela and Chastil learned that Nephi was kicked out without knowing the reason. Chastil said, "Zagan seemed to be an honorable man, but it looks like he was just using you." Nephi said, "My master is not that kind of person." Manuela asked Nephi, "Did you notice anything strange before he kicked you out?" Nephi remembered that Zagan said he's become an Archdemon. Manuela said, "Isn't that the title for the greatest person among sorcerers? This town used to be safe when the Archdemon named Marcosius controlled it. But after he passed away, there were a series of unpleasant incidents." Chastil said, "Do you mean the serial kidnappings of women by sorcerers?" Manuela said, "I heard that the church took down the criminals. There was a sorcerer named Fastealer and several others." Chastil remembered that Lord Clavwell had said Sorcerer Zagan was the real culprit behind the serial kidnappings. Nephi wondered, but the town didn't seem to favor the church. Manuela explains, "That's because they charged us a ridiculous amount of money as a donation. The term collecting a donation totally doesn't make sense." Nephi said that she found Chastil to be a good person. "We can blame her." Chastil said, "It is said that archdemons are the evil that the angelic knights must defeat, even at the risk of their lives. While there are only 12 sacred swords, there are 13 archdemons. Even if each wielder was to kill one, we'd be one short of defeating them. If a new archdemon were born, the church would mark them for death before they became too strong. There may even be those among the sorcerers who will seek to take their lands too." Nephi began to understand that Zagan was about to enter a battle. That's why he abandoned her. Chastil asked Nephi, "Do you think Zagan would work with other sorcerers to perform kidnappings and sacrificial rituals?" Nephi said, "Absolutely not. Master possesses an uncanny disinterest in the weak. When he saved a carriage from bandits, he simply said he didn't like the bandits. Perhaps he was trying to make me feel at ease." Chastil said, "It's probably just as you said. When we actually crossed swords, that man even went easy on me because I'm a woman. It was humiliating, but I don't hate it." Manuela sees Chastil blushing, so she teases that Chastil is in love with Zagan. Chastil said, "Don't speak nonsense. I'm not talking about that. When I first met him, he looked like he needed to be saved. Even though he sought warmth, he didn't want to admit it, so he pushed everyone away." Nephi could understand what Chastil was feeling, especially when he talks about the past. Nephi can't believe that there is someone else who feels that way about her master. Nephi feels a little jealous, but she's happy. She remembers that day on the night they first met, Nephi saw the moon through the window. Nephi thought she would never be able to see it again, so her master stood next to her and looked at the moon with her. After thinking for a while, Nephi decided to return to her master. Manuela asks, "Are you sure about that? The battle is about to begin." Nephi said, "Master is strong. He'll never lose to anyone. That doesn't mean he can't be hurt. Nobody is okay with being all alone. I want to support him." Seeing Neffy's determination, Chestil also decided to do what she can as well. It seems that there is a sorcerer who's using Zayden's name to commit crimes. I can't pretend to protect him because of my position, but I think I should at least be able to clear his name. Manuela said, "It looks like you two are back on your feet. If you have any problems, just come to my place anytime. I'll listen to all your problems. In exchange, I'll ask you to try on some of the products in my store." Neffy asked Manuela, "Why are you being so kind to me?" Manuela said, "Because we're friends, right?" Hearing that, Neffy felt very happy. Chestil also wants to be friends with Neffy. Chastil teammates walked in and Torres was scared to see Neffy again. Chastil saw that they picked a terrible time to show up. Suddenly, a dark force appeared. He called himself Zagan and he kidnapped the girls. Chestil pushed Manuela out of the danger area. He said that if you want to save these people, come to my castle. Hearing this, the Knights of the Azure Sky immediately attacked Zagan's castle. However, they were caught in his magic trap and couldn't move. Zagan remembers that he was in this trap along with Neffy. He thinks that Neffy has only been involved with him for half a month. If he keeps his distance, no one will be able to find any link between them. The Kyanoids people had accepted Neffy with open arms. She would be able to live a peaceful life there, unrelated to sorcerers and the church. The knight said, "We don't care what happens to us, but please spare Lady Chastil's life." She said that you weren't the culprit behind the kidnappings, and she went as far as opposing the cardinal to find the real culprit. It's fine to at least spare her, isn't it? Zagan said, "I don't get what you're saying." Manuela appeared and landed on the knight's head. She tells Zagan that Neffy and Chestil have been kidnapped. Please, you can save them, right? Zagan is thinking if he goes out to help her, everyone will know about their relationship. And if that happens, she won't be able to avoid the church. Then Manuela asked him, "Why are you hesitating?" Neffy was just about to return to you, you know. She said she wants to be with you, that she wants to support you. Do you soccer players really don't have emotions? And why were you so nice to her? Zagan feels it hurts far more than any attack he's ever been struck by. Neffy wanted you to come back even after he said something so cruel to her. Zagan thanks Manuela. Thanks to her, his head is now clear. You're right. Sorcerers are through and through utter trash. They'd only ever think about themselves. They think of others only as mere tools. They think that life just sprouts up out of nowhere. That's right. Sorcerers just have to think of their own interests. Neffy belongs to me. I'll make a bloodbath of anyone who messes with her. I don't care about dirtying my hands or if the existence of a sorcerer is tainted. I simply have to protect her, even though I have to devote all the authority and mana of an Archdemon to the cause. I'm going to go save Neffy. Zagan asked Manuela, "Are you coming?" Manuela said, "Of course, she's my friend." The knights also want to go with him to save Chestil. Manuela told Zagan they're swallowed by a shadow. How do we find them? Zagan said, "No problem. I know very well who the culprit is." At this time, Chestil and Neffy are tied up in a cave. These collars and handcuffs seal sorcery. Unlike the one Neffy had on before, it doesn't seem to have any complicated tricks. She tried using her mysticism to destroy them, but it's useless. She doesn't have enough natural elements for her to make use of it. It turns out the person who kidnapped them was Barbatos. Neffy asked, "Barbatos, are you not a friend of the master?" Barbatos said, "I never thought there'd be anyone who thought of sorcerers that way. Do you know a man called Andrus the Accursed? Zagan was the first sorcerer who killed him, and I was his disciple. Don't get me wrong, avenging a master is not what a sorcerer does. If Zagan hadn't killed him, I would have done it sooner or later. But the castle he's living in, the money he used to buy you, and even his wisdom were mine to take. I can't just sit back and watch him steal everything from me, right? For starters, I've been trying to get the church to take care of him for me, but it's not going so well. My minions all got caught so easily too, and the ones I sent to fight Zagan were easily beaten too." Chestil understands that Barbatos is the one behind the kidnappings. She asked, "Did you do something terrible in order to bring down Zagan?" Barbatos said, "Of course not. It was the face peeler who suggested the sacrifice. We needed to perform a major ritual. To the 12 Archdemons, I need to show them that I am the next Archdemon. That's the only way to beat the other candidates. I was in trouble when I lost my sacrifices, but now I have you with the mana of a white-haired elf. I can open the door." Neffy told Barbatos that perhaps it is pointless because her master has already succeeded at Archdemon. That's why he dismissed me. This shocked Barbatos. Now he extremely hates Zagan. He pulled Neffy to a magic circle he had prepared. He prepares to sacrifice Neffy. Chestil told him to stop and said, "If you're going to sacrifice someone, use me instead." Barbatos said, "Chestil, even if you don't insist, I'll use you for something else later. I need the best tool for this ritual." Neffy remembered that tool. "That's what I've been called my whole life, but Master never once called me a tool. I will survive and return to Master's side. Even if he scolds me and turns me away, I will stubbornly stay in the castle. I'll cook for him, let him sleep on my lap, and do everything that makes him happy. This doesn't hurt at all. It's nothing compared to when he told me to leave. I belong to Master. I don't want to be touched by the likes of you. Just as Barbatos was about to use magic on her, Zagan appeared. Zagan said, "Well said, Nephi. I'd expect nothing less from my apprentice." Barbatos wondered why Zagan knew this place. Zagan explains that my suspicions began when that fast titular sorcerer showed up. I didn't think someone who begged for their life after encountering me would be capable of penetrating my barrier, and only one person came to mind when I thought about who might be making a habit of getting through my security. Barbatos is the purgatory, that's what they call you. Purgatory refers to the realm between heaven and the underworld. Applying that concept to your sorcery, you create pocket dimensions which help you specialize in transportation and summoning. You're even better at it than me. And just like the Face Stealer, you showed up after the angelic knights paid me a visit like you were checking on the outcome. I'd have to be crazy not to suspect something then. Barbatos said, "So you knew all along and you still have the nerve to serve me tea." Zagan said, "I was curious about what you were planning. Now more importantly, you've hurt Nephi." He immediately attacked Barbatos' arms and legs. Zagan broke Nephi's chains and asked her if she was in pain. Nephi cried and said, "You looked a lot more hurt than I was, Master. I don't know what happened to you. If you say you don't need me, I should probably accept that. But if you have been hurt, then I know you're not okay. Please don't be alone, Master." Barbatos said, "Hey Ashhole, I'm not dead yet, so don't think you've won." He cast the spells, but nothing happened. Nephi wondered what was going on. Zagan said, "Do you remember me describing the theoretical ultimate sorcery before? Adding circuits to a casting circle from the inside to overwrite the sorcery? There's actually a little trick that makes it possible. If you use the exact same casting circle, you can override it from the inside. By doing that, the spells will undergo something like a harmonic cancellation." Zagan was shocked and said, "Is this the power of Andra's legacy?" Zagan said, "If Andras could manage something like this, he would have never died. The first time I used sorcery, I was 8 years old. When he captured me, Andras the Accursed made a casting circle. I remembered what it looked like and secretly drew it on the palm of my hand. With no other tools available, I used my own blood. Looking back now, it was a childish idea. An amateur shouldn't be able to imitate sorcery just by copying its form. But when I got caught trying to escape and was about to be killed, it must have been a fluke. A miracle only possible because I enacted the same sorcery in only a fraction of a second." Barbatos was extremely angry and cast a series of spells, but Zagan neutralized them all. He completely collapsed and said, "Some of those were sorceries you couldn't possibly have seen before, and you were able to override all of them in an instant." Zagan said, "If that was your best shot, even an amateur could manage it with the right timing. If you want to call yourself a sorcerer, you've got a lot of room for improvement. Improving sorceries that resonated with me instead of simply reacting to them was my first research project as a sorcerer, and ever since, I've been cooped up in the castle by myself, never talking to anyone, not even my urchin friends from my days on the street. None of them came looking for me either, and yet you kept showing up no matter how obvious I made my annoyance." Barbatos said, "I could have killed you at any time. I was just curious to see what a brat like you was doing in there." Zagan said, "Then let me show you. Can you tell I've converted all the casting circles you opened up with into this? Right now, it only works as physical enhancement sorcery, but I intend on developing it further." Barbatos said, "You devour my sorcery?" Zagan said, "That's really a good way of putting it. I can see why you were previously an Archdemon candidate. That reminds me, Barbatos is the purgatory. Now that I'm an Archdemon, I have a title of my own, my second name, the Sorcerer Slayer." Barbatos was unable to block Zagan's attack and was seriously injured. Zagan had already eaten all of Barbatos' defensive supplies, and Barbatos had never known anyone who could outdo him in terms of physical enhancement, which means even if Barbatos were an Archdemon, he wouldn't be able to stop a punch from Zagan. Barbatos said, "Please, you win. I swear I'll never show my face to you again, and I'll give you all of my knowledge. We're friends, right?" Zagan said, "Can a sorcerer even conceive of that idea?" He punched the ground to scare Barbatos and said, "I'm just playing. No need to panic. I mean, I guess I could kill you, but that would mean not being treated to good liquor anymore. I don't have a good eye for the stuff myself." Barbatos said, "Are you showing me mercy?" Zagan said, "I believe this kind of thing is called confidence." This hurt Barbatos' pride. He said, "If you let me live, I swear I'll kill you. I guarantee until I see you dead, I'll never give up." Zagan said, "That's fine, as long as drinks are on you every time I win." Barbatos said, "What are you even saying? What could a sorcerer gain from not killing an enemy?" Zagan said, "That's the thing. An archhuman being bound by convention is a little ridiculous, isn't it? I'm going to do whatever I want. If I want Nephi to live openly in the world, then I'll just have to seize control of it, which is why I won't kill you either. If you don't like that, you need to get strong enough to force me to change my mind." Barbatos said, "You're an arrogant bastard." Suddenly, the ground shook. Barbatos' summoning circle activated. When Zagan punched the ground, he must have subconsciously engaged with this casting circle. Zagan asked Barbatos, "What were you trying to do here?" Barbatos said, "I was planning on summoning a true demon." Zagan said, "Demons? They're said to have existed in this world in ancient times before leaving it. There's no proof they ever actually existed, but there are theories that the symbols used in sorcery, as well as those of the church, were passed down to mortals by gods or devils. And you were able to summon one of them. This is a shadow. No sacrifice and a haphazard activation must have resulted in an imperfect summoning. And in spite of that, it's over, we can't win, even when I was facing down the Archdemon. The pressure wasn't this intense. This thing is beyond humankind. No matter how much power we might gain, it looks like mortals simply can't compare to gods and demons." Zagan wondered, "Am I going to die?" However, the demon bowed before Zagan and called Zagan my king. Zagan saw the Archdemon emblem glowing. Zagan wondered, "What exactly have I inherited?" In that case, Zagan ordered it to return to where it came from. The magic circle disappeared, the cave is collapsing. Everyone quickly left the cave. Chastil's group of knights also arrived. Torres said, "Listen, our priority is ensuring Lady Chastil and the citizens are safe. It's not like we're aiding and abetting some wicked sorcerer." The knights then took Chastil away before returning home. Manuela told Zagan, "You two need to work this out." Zagan asked Barbatos, "Do you want to keep fighting?" Barbatos said, "After what I just saw, what the hell could I do? So what now? I bring you some good booze and you let me off the hook." Zagan said, "Make sure it's quality stuff." Barbatos left, leaving the couple confused. Zagan didn't know what to say to Nephi. Nephi said, "Master, I would like to remain at your side. I want to be with you." Zagan knew he had hurt Nephi, so he knelt down and told Nephi, "I'll never leave you alone again. I swear to protect you. So I want you to call me by my name, not master, not a slave or my servant or my apprentice. I want something else for us. You belong to me and you always will forever until one of us dies, no even after that." Zagan wondered, "Why can't I say something as simple as I love you?" Nephi was so happy that she cried. Nephi asked Zagan, "Could you please put this back on me? I want it because it's what keeps us connected." Zagan understood Nephi's wish, so he accepted. It's a bit imposing for an engagement ring, but you suppose this still makes them. Nephi asked Zagan, "What exactly is our relationship if I'm not your slave, servant, or apprentice anymore?" Zagan wondered, "I wish I knew. Could someone please tell me?" Meanwhile, in town, everyone is talking about a new Archdemon, who is the sorcerer that lives in the lost woods with the scary face. A villager said, "I heard he saved someone from some brigands." Chimerus and Gremory are listening to people talking about the new Archdemon. It seems that Zagan is very loved by the surrounding villagers. Gremory told Chimerus that I had thought you were certain to be the next Archdemon. Meanwhile, Chastil refuses to lead the hunt for the 13th Archdemon Zagan. He saved her life twice. She cannot betray that. She told Cardinal Clabwell that, as I've established, he was not involved in the string of kidnappings. He is innocent. Cardinal Clabwell said, "You defend a sorcerer?" Such words carried grave weight. In that case, Chastil Lilfist, you are hereby relieved of your position as an angelic knight indefinitely. Chastil did not ask for forgiveness. That man never once strayed from what he believed in. She wants to be able to do the same. As a commander of angelic knights, Chastil hereby relinquishes her sacred sword. When she was given the power of the sacred sword, she was proud to use it to protect people, but at some point she was simply doing the church's bidding, unable to swing a sword of her own accord anymore, which is why this is for the best. Chastil, please don't look so forlorn, Lord Clavel said. The sacred swords choose their wielders. For one of the chosen to be punished like this, it would ordinarily be unthinkable. Old though I may be, I will find a way to resolve this. A certain man is headed here, the most terrifying of the sacred sword wielders, Raphael Harendel. I'm sure you've heard the rumors of what a ruthless individual he is. I can only imagine why he is coming. Chastil understands that if the dread angelic knight is arriving at a time like this, the only thing that comes to mind is that he's coming to purge her as an apostate. Meanwhile, Zagan is learning about the brand of an archdemon and the entities known as demons that exist somewhere in the world, and the fact that one of those demons bowed down before that brand. He's been looking into it for the 2 weeks since. No clues have turned up among the materials he took from Marcosia's castle. Nephi suddenly walked in quietly, trying to surprise him. She wanted to blindfold him, but her arms were too short. She sees that Zagan has been looking exhausted from all of his research lately, so she was trying to cheer him up. However, even though Neffy's plan failed, Zagan still found her adorable. Neffy has finished preparing today's lunch. The appetizer is a tomato and green vegetable salad with Kaiser dressing and grated cheese, and a buttered rye roll on the side. The soup is a consomme with oatmeal, and for the main dish, sautéed lamb. Zagan sees that she's got more new recipes. "Well, let's try it out then," Zagan said. "I had no idea that food could taste so good." Neffy said, "You say that every time, Lord Zagan. Also, for dessert today, I prepared a pudding. Miss Manuela taught me about it. It's a treat made with eggs and cream." Zagan tried it. He felt it was so sweet. The outside world is so vast. I had no idea such a sweet, joyous flavor exists. Suddenly, he felt someone coming. That mysterious man easily bypassed the traps around the castle and approached Zagan. He is Valifor the Apparition, one of the other Archdemon candidates. Valifor said, "I will slay you and take your power." Zagan said, "I'm in the middle of a meal. You'll need to wait." Valifor was really waiting for Zagan to finish eating. However, Valifor is angry because Zagan is mocking him. Zagan sees that his arm isn't from sorcery. He pushed Valifor away because Valifor was disturbing his meal. Neffy runs over to check on Valifor and sees that Valifor is a girl. Zagan was confused and wondered, "Did I just knock a little girl unconscious?" Neffy said, "You need to calm down, Lord Zagan. Cold medicine won't help with this." Zagan then carried her to the restroom. He never thought he was going to use this guest room, but it's a good thing he had it cleaned up in case one of his friends came by. Valifor woke up and immediately attacked Zagan. Zagan told Valifor, "You owe Neffy some thanks. Without her, I would have twisted your head off your neck and thrown it out." Valifor asks why he saved her when she came to kill him. Zagan said, "Neffy saved you so you get to live. It's that simple. Why did you attack me anyway?" Valifor said, "I wanted power because I'm weak." Zagan asked, "Why go after me at all the possible targets then?" Valifor said, "You're the newest Archdemon, and since you're known as the Sorcerer Slayer, I thought I could beat you if I didn't use sorcery." Zagan said, "It's true that I can't neutralize your racial abilities since they're not sorcery. You're a dragon, aren't you?" "I'm surprised to encounter a living one. It's said that dragons can live for hundreds, thousands, and in some cases, even tens of thousands of years." However, looking at Valifor's frightened appearance at this time, Zagan realized that even though she was a dragon, she was still a kid. He stood up and said, "You challenged an archdemon. That means you must be punished. I order you to assist Neffy for a week." Zagan thinks that while she's helping out, he can teach her what is and isn't allowed. Morality isn't his thing, but he can teach her how to behave even as a villain. Falever asked Zagan, "You're not going to eat me? Humans think that eating dragon flesh will make them stronger." This surprised Neffy. Zagan explains to Neffy that bathe in dragon blood for immortality, devour their flesh for infinite mana, process their bones into elixir that can cure any illness. There have been legends like that since ancient times. He guesses that's why she hid her identity. Zagan said, "Don't make me laugh. All I would get from devouring a brat like you is a nasty aftertaste." Zagan asked Neffy, "Do we have any leftovers from lunch?" Falever wonders what Zagan is planning and she plans to throw the food away. Zagan said, "For the record, I hate people who waste food, and when it's food made by Neffy, I kill them." This caused Valifor to panic and obediently eat it. She felt it was delicious and couldn't stop. Zagan said, "Once you finish eating, help Neffy with what she needs." Valifor asked Zagan, "Aren't you afraid that I will attack Neffy at any moment?" Zagan said, "You've got the wrong idea. Neffy is much stronger than you." However, Zagan still secretly observed them to make sure that Neffy was not in danger. Neffy asked Valifor to help her with housework. Valifor thanked Neffy for the soup earlier. She said Neffy could call her for. Neffy asked Valifor, "Are you afraid of Lord Zagan?" Valifor said, "His power is scary. I didn't stand a chance. He didn't show even a glimpse of his true power, such a strange human." Neffy asked Valifor, "What are you going to do later?" Valifor said, "I don't know. I'm too weak to target one of the other archdemons." Zagan thought, dragons would be some of the most patient creatures to exist. What's a dragon child doing in a human settlement acting like a sorcerer anyway? Valifor asked Neffy, "Why do you obey that man?" Neffy said, "I came here when Lord Zagan bought me, but he treats me like a person, not a slave, which is why, and this is where I want to be." In the following days, Valifor slowly began to relax and started working without complaints. Zagan still hasn't found a clue about the brand of an archdemon. He'll need to head back to Marcosia's lair. He has a hard time believing that a millennia-old archdemon would have no interest at all in true demons. In that case, could Marcosius have hidden what he learned? Valifor walks in and tells Zagan that dinner is ready. Valifor asks, "Don't think I might attack you with your back turned." This reminds Zagan of Barbados' words from before, "If you let me live, I swear I'll kill you." Zagan told Valifor, "Someone said something very similar to me recently. I told him to bring it on whenever he wanted to, which is why you get the same answer. I'm ready whenever you are, and when you lose, you'll end up working for me even longer." Then they had dinner together. Valifor really likes the food Nephi makes. Suddenly, Valifor apologized to Zagan for interrupting his meal before. She felt that action was wrong. Zagan also sees that she'll be fine now. He told Nephi that, "I'm thinking of taking Valifor to investigate the Archdemon's castle." Valifor said, "Are you crazy? That'd be like sharing the former Archdemon's knowledge with me. Just like earlier you let me into your library where your vital secrets are kept. Didn't it happen to you? I might steal them." Zagan said, "I don't really care. Go ahead. I consider techniques and knowledge things that are meant to be stolen. I killed and stole the knowledge of this castle's original owner anyway. It doesn't matter how long-lived you are as a dragon or how skilled of a sorcerer you are. And here you're just a kid, and kids should behave like kids, which includes acting out when they feel like it. There's no one here that'll hold that against you." Zagan's words made her cry. He patted her head to comfort her. Valifor said, "You can call me Furtu Zagan." Valifor then fell asleep after eating. Zagan guesses kids will be kids, even if they're dragons. Nephi thought after Zagan demonstrated he's not an enemy, she relaxes. It was the same way for her when she first got here. Zagan wonders is Valifor for dreaming about her parents. Nephi feels that it's like we have a child now. This made them both blush. A child, a family. It might be absurd for an archdemon like him to yearn for a normal idea of happiness. There is Valifor in her room. She was writing a diary. So it has been a week since she was taken into confinement by the Archdemon. Turns out she lives in the same room as Nephi. Valifor does the work like cleaning, laundry, and preparing food. For Valifor, those are tiring works, but she feels no pain because Nephi praises her if she does good work. But she doesn't understand the Archdemon and Nephi's relationship. She explains that every morning, Nephi starts her work by going to Zagan's room to see his face. Valifor even happened to get closer because of curiosity. It turns out Nephi only watches Zagan from different angles. It also makes Nephi's ears start to wiggle. Then she says in a quiet voice that the next day will be the day. Meanwhile, Zagan spends all day inside his library reading through sorcery books. He also gives his apprentice, who is Nephi, hands-on lessons in sorcery. There are things that Valifor doesn't understand, like how Nephi sits on Zagan's lap and how Zagan also keeps reaching out to Nephi's silver hair before pulling his hand away in the right motion over and over again. When Valifor was in the middle of spying on them, she got caught and both Nephi and Zagan were surprised. Valifor worried if she would get punished, even if she would be killed because of it. But no, they seem to act like nothing ever happened. Because of it, Valifor doesn't understand what kind of relationship between Nephi and the Archdemon, but still living with them gives her a warm feeling. The next day, she will be taken to the old Archdemon's castle. When Valifor is seen by Manuela, Manuela compliments her by telling that she is so cute. Manuela even hugs her and asks if she can take Valifor home with her. But Zagan says that Valifor is not an object and he is not handing her off. So it turns out it was in Manuela's store. After getting out of her store, Zagan says that it is always exhausting when going to her store. Other way around, Nephi thinks that they made the right choice by going to the store. It is because Valifor seems to love the outfit they just bought. Not so long after that, Valifor thanks Zagan for that. Soon, she holds Zagan and Nephi's hands together. In Zagan's mind, he questions what is the feeling that he feels at the moment, since it is different from how he cares about Nephi, but oddly warm. Zagan quickly assumes that it is a protective instinct, realizing that Zagan thinks if Barbatos hears that, he will be worried about Zagan's head. Then there is Chestil. She thinks she is such a fool because she had to return her sacred sword and she can't wear anointed armor. She thinks that her withdrawal will cause a major delay in the manhunt for Zagan, but she feels compelled to do it and wonders why. She doesn't intend on getting between Zagan and Nephi, but she wants them to live peacefully. Furthermore, she will be honored if they will remember her once in a while. She thinks that Zagan will be a good father too, but in the middle of her overthinking, she meets Zagan along with Nephi and Valifor accidentally. Seeing Valifor, she thinks she is their daughter and is so shocked to know it. Surely Zagan and Nephi are shocked too. Quickly, at a high tone, Zagan tells Chastil that they don't do things like that yet. Not so long after that, Valifor asks who she is. Hearing the question, Zagan agrees with Valifor's question instead and asks who she is. It makes Chastil feel bad and she introduces herself after that. Zagan explains it is because Chastil dresses differently so he can't notice her. After that, there are 3 cerulean knights that are chasing Chastil. They ask Zagan what he did to Chastil, but because of it, Valifor seems uncomfortable and wants to attack them. Zagan forbids her because Nephi has a lot of friends there and a fight will lead to casualties. Then the three Cerulean Knights take Chastil because Cardinal Cladwell is calling her. She is also asked to worry more about herself. Seeing that, Nephi asks Zagan if Chastil will be alright, but Zagan says at least she gets plenty of support and other people she can count on. Meanwhile, in his mind, he thinks if he gets involved, it will make her position more precarious. After that, Zagan asks Valifor if the three Cerulean Knights did something to her. But Valifor asks back if a sorcerer really needs a reason to hate the Angelic Knights. Deep down, Zagan hopes that the incident doesn't lead to more trouble. Then there is a scene about Zagan taking Valifor to the Archdemon's castle. Valifor is amazed when seeing it because she can't believe there is a building like that underground. After that, Zagan explains that it is probably constructed on the surface and Marcosias most likely used sorcery to lower it down. Not so long after that, Valifor says that she thinks dragons used to live in the castle. It is because of the shape of the castle and she can smell it. It makes Zagan ask if she can find anything connected to dragons inside the castle. When they start to get into the castle, Valifor asks something she is seeing. It turns out to be a kind of golem or chimera, a creature that is created by sorcery. They continue to walk, but then again, Valifor asks about a casting circle. Zagan doesn't get it, and Valifor tells him that it's got draconic patterns. Zagan himself doesn't know, and Valifor feels she finds it out for him. After that, Zagan asks her about the function, and she says that it hides the door. While Valifor tries to open it, Zagan notices that Nephi's face turns red and her ears wiggle. Zagan assumes that she is jealous because he patted Valifor's on the head, and he is doing the same thing to Nephi at the moment. But they get caught by Valifor, and it makes Zagan act awkwardly. In the next scene, they go downstairs from the hidden door. It turns out there are so many books there. Zagan then says that their goal is to gather any books that have accounts of demons or the Archdemon crests. When Zagan is looking at a book, suddenly Valifor asks him if he can read people's minds. Zagan only wonders. It turns out Valifor asked it because he can get what Nephi wants without asking it to her. She tells him that she is jealous, but he tells her that he thinks she can tell what people want if she lives for 1,000 years like Marchosias. Hearing that, she asks him if she still can live with him, and he says that he won't stop her if she tries to leave. After that, Valifor is looking at the book titled The 12 Sacred Swords. Zagan quickly grabs the book, and he notices that the Archdemon crest and Sacred Swords scripts come from the same source. In other words, if he learns more about Sacred Swords, he can find out about the Archdemon crests. Meanwhile, Chastil tells Sir Raphael Harendel that it is her pleasure to make his acquaintance. Sir Raphael also notices that she is the maiden of the Sacred Sword. So he knows that she had been relieved of duty for defying orders, but he praises her for her good looks. After that, he straightforwardly asks her how many sorcerers she has slain. She replies that she doesn't believe that to be a number to boast about. Because of it, one of the knights warns her to speak more carefully. Sir Raphael only responds with his laughter, because it's been a long time since he has met anyone who dares to talk to him like that. Not to mention that she's the first woman who did it, but after that, he tells her that she can take the honor with her to the afterlife. The knights quickly protect her. Luckily, Cladwell comes at the right time. Cladwell tells him that he has a duty to protect the knights. Then Sir Raphael asks if Cladwell confiscates the woman's sacred sword. He also explains that sacred swords choose their wielders, and as long as that chosen person lives, the sword cannot be used by anyone else. That is why he thinks he should relieve Chastil of her head. In the middle of an argument between Sir Raphael and Cladwell, Chastil tells Sir Raphael that if they wield their swords on their own whims, then they are no better than thugs. Actually, Chastil's words make Sir Raphael angry, and he shows his sword to her. Then Cladwell asks her to talk to him. It turns out Cladwell returns her sword to her. He isn't even sure that it is the right thing to do or not, but he has faith that she will find a way to overcome the tribulation. Not so long after that, she thinks that Sir Raphael was manipulating the sword back into her hands, and she wonders why. In another scene is seen that Barbatos is laughing at Zagan because he actually lives with a little girl. When Zagan asks him how he knows about it, he says that there have been rumors around town about Zagan kidnapping some brat. Zagan is about to leave because he doesn't like Barbatos' attitude, but Barbatos tells him that he will treat him. Then Barbatos asks about her, even asks him if she is his second apprentice. Zagan then tells him that she is someone that Barbatos knows. At first, Zagan thinks that Barbatos will never guess it right because Barbatos thinks of someone else earlier. But after that, Barbatos brings up a topic about Valifor who raided his place the other day. He even talks about the giant guy in the mask and a rumor that he is a dragon, but Zagan just tossed him out anyway. In the end, Barbatos doesn't think that the little girl is Valifor since he asks again who the little girl is. Barbatos also laughs when Zagan tells him that he adopts her. Then Barbatos informs him about Sir Raphael, the sorcerer hunter who has killed 499 sorcerers. He tells him that he will be the 500th one. Hearing that, he thinks that it is odd that a person kills that many sorcerers. But Barbatos says that there is a rumor that Sir Raffel ate a dragon. It makes Zagan remember what Valifor said in the past, that humans think that eating dragon flesh will make them stronger. It also explains why Valifor hates the Angelic Knights. After that, Barbatos says that he just wants Zagan to meet up again and cozy up with him. When Zagan asks Barbatos what he really wants, he only answers Marchosia's estate. Quickly, Zagan refuses his wish because Zagan knows that Barbatos will hide anything he doesn't want Zagan seeing. In the middle of conversation, someone that looks like Sir Raffel comes to the small bar. But exactly at that time, Zagan is asking Barbatos what Sir Raffel looks like. When Barbatos is explaining it in detail, the one who just came is indeed Sir Raffel, and he comes to them angrily. It is seen that Barbatos is shocked to see Sir Raffel, but Zagan seems calm. The bar girl is also scared of Sir Raffel, even she faints. After the people in the bar run away, Barbatos attacks Sir Raffel, but Zagan stops his sorcery. Still, Zagan responds to him calmly. He tells Barbatos that he spoiled Zagan's drink instead. Barbatos wonders of Zagan's calmness. He asks Zagan if he is just gonna let Sir Raffel carve him up. Zagan explains that he doesn't think that Sir Raffel comes to fight. Then Zagan asks Sir Raffel about his intention. Sir Raffel tells him that the new Archdemon seems to have a good head on his shoulders. Deep in Zagan's mind, he doesn't really have anything to say to the Mountain of Man. Then the father of the bar girl asks Barbatos if his daughter is gonna live. Barbatos has no idea about, but is trying to save her by doing the healing sorcery, even though Barbatos isn't really good at it. Hearing their conversation makes Zagan wish to sit there. Zagan notices that the girl just faints and doesn't need any sorcery. After that, Zagan asks Sir Raffel again. He calls Sir Raffel with Dragon Slayer. Sir Raffel tells him that he hears that Zagan has been tangling with one of his fellow knights. That is why Sir Raffel wanted to get a look at Zagan. Zagan realizes that what Sir Raffel means is Chastil. He then answers that he must not look very remarkable compared to Sir Raffel. It makes Sir Raffel laugh and says that Zagan looks every bit the villain the rumors suggest. Then Zagan brings up a topic how Sir Raffel has a hobby of killing sorcerers. He asks directly to Sir Raffel if he doesn't mind that there are 2 sorcerers there. But Sir Raffel explains that all he has ever done is snuff out embers that risk becoming an inferno. Zagan doesn't believe what Sir Raffel told him. Then Sir Raffel asks Zagan to assure that Zagan happened to fight Chastil before and whether Chastil is strong enough to pose a threat to him. But Zagan has no idea. He adds that Chastil was more formidable than anyone he has ever fought before. Hearing that, Sir Raffel has a conclusion that she is a serious threat to the church. Furthermore, Sir Raffel explains that she objected to the hunt for Archdemon Zagan. It gives the church more than enough reason to dispose of her. Hearing that makes Zagan surprised. He thinks Chastil is such a fool since of all awkward positions to put herself in, while she could have just pretended to go with the flow. Not so long after that, Sir Raffel leaves. Suddenly, Zagan realizes that Sir Raffel just wanted to confirm the link between Chastil and Zagan. It is because Sir Raffel is looking for justification to strike her down. When Sir Raffel is about to leave, Zagan calls him and tells him that Chastil has her share of friends in the town. Those people would mourn her death, and the town is Zagan's territory. Unexpectedly, Zagan threatens Sir Raffel if he steps out of bounds, Zagan will make short work of him. It makes Sir Raffel laugh. He tells Zagan that Zagan is actually how he imagined. Sir Raffel adds that it is kind of evil the church would dedicate its resources to snuffing out. After Sir Raffel leaves, Barbatos tells Zagan that he doesn't like it. He then tells Zagan to chase the old timer down and kills him. Zagan just responds to him by saying to get going. It makes Barbatos surprised and mad. He assumes that Zagan tells him to die. Zagan admits that he does want Barbatos to die, but Zagan explains that it is not what he meant. The fact that Zagan wants Barbatos to die makes Barbatos speechless. Then Zagan tells him to check on Chastil, because he can use his teleportation sorcery. Barbatos then tells Zagan that Chastil is an angelic knight too, so Barbatos assures him that he is serious about helping her. But Zagan asks him to get going. It makes Barbatos think that Zagan is weird, and Barbatos is sure that Zagan will regret it later. After that, Barbatos leaves with his sorcery. In an instant, Zagan realizes that Barbatos leaves without paying the tab. Zagan thinks even though he was the one who sent him away, but at the moment he feels like Barbatos got one over on him. Zagan is going back home. He thinks that Nephi is asleep at the moment, but it turns out Nephi is still awake and greets him. Zagan tells her that she could have gone to bed first, but Nephi asks him to be quiet because Valifor is falling asleep. So Valifor insisted on waiting for Zagan and fell asleep. Nephi tells Zagan that she works hard for the day. Valifor helped Nephi to carry all of the books we took from the Archdemon castle to the library. She did it because she wanted the books to be read by Zagan soon. Nephi bets Valifor was really happy when Zagan told Valifor that she could stay with him for 1,000 years. Then Zagan tells Nephi that anyone the dragons can share the time with must seem really precious since the dragons live extremely long lives. Zagan also notices how Valifor felt when she lost her parents. For that, Zagan thinks that he should get rid of Sir Raphael before he encounters Valifor. Hearing that, Nephi tells Zagan that it would be nice if Nephi could stay with him for that kind of time too. Zagan is surprised because he says that Nephi definitely will be there too. Nephi seems so happy when hearing that. After that, they notice that they are so close. Zagan feels like he hasn't seen her up close like that before. He can also smell the scent of her body and see her wet hair. It makes her want to kiss her. But when they are about to kiss, Barbatos comes. Just when Barbatos is about to say something, it is seen that Zagan is so mad even he tells Barbatos to step outside and he will turn Barbatos into mincemeat. He is confused as to why Zagan is so angry, but he shows them that he takes Chastel. So Chastel's drink is poisoned. Zagan tells Nephi to treat her. Because of it, she moves and leaves the sleeping Valifor. But it makes Valifor awake. Just right after Valifor sees Chastel, who is an angelic knight, she is about to attack her. Quickly, Zagan stops her and tells that Valifor can't attack his guest. Zagan asks Valifor if she hates angelic knights. Valifor answers that she became a sorcerer to get revenge on the angelic knights. Zagan asks Valifor again if Chastel is the one who hurts Valifor. Then she explains that the one who killed her father is someone with a sacred sword. Zagan assures Valifor if it is not Chastel, and he adds she could kill Chastel and the one you want to take revenge on wouldn't even care. It just can make Valifor add more enemies, and enemies would become additional obstacles for her revenge. Valifor is angry and asks what Zagan knows. Zagan then tells her that revenge is about making her targets suffer endlessly and making them beg for death. So when Valifor is satisfied, she kills the enemies, and that is when her revenge is complete. Zagan adds that simple revenge will not give Valifor any solace. It makes Valifor ask Zagan if he ever did a revenge before. Zagan answers that he did it, but he failed, because he killed the enemy in an instant and doing it will not make him feel any better. Valifor finally understands. It is seen that Chastel just woke up. She questions where she is, and it turns out Zagan is in the room. He tells Chastel that she is poisoned and Nephi treats her. Not so long after that, Chastel remembers that she is summoned with a letter with no sender listed. Then she met someone from the church and mentioned a reconciliation faction, so they wanted coexistence and living together. But Chastel says that she has never known such a faction existed. Not to mention that the person never showed her his face. His reason is to be safer. But she says that she felt like she recognized him from somewhere. The person asks her to join him, but he told her it didn't need to be at the moment. He also told her to call Orobus in case she needed help. When she assured that it was his name, he answered by saying she could say yes or no, but think of it as the name of the church faction's leader. Then she was so confused about her decision, not to mention there is Sir Raphael in the current church. After that, she drank tea, and in an instant Barbatros came. After that, Zagan asks her who could have poisoned her. She thinks it could be Sir Raphael, but she is not really sure. But Zagan tells her it must not be him since he can kill her easily. Chastel is a bit surprised because Zagan knows Sir Raphael. Then Zagan tells her that she can stay at the castle at the moment since she is Nephi's friend. Zagan is about to leave, but Chastel stops him. The fact that she pulled Zagan's robe makes him a bit annoyed. Chastel asks him to stay in her room a little longer. Zagan tells her that she could ask Nephi for that. But it turns out, because Nephi couldn't wake up at the moment, Zagan decides to stay in the room while reading the book, but he turns back the chair. It makes Chastel question herself about what she wants to accomplish and if she wants Zagan to turn her way. But she wants both Zagan and Nephi to find happiness anyway. She concludes that she wants to be part of their happiness, but she wonders in what way that it can happen. But it turns out Zagan makes Chastel as his maid along with Nephi. Chastel can't take it since she only can touch sword, but Zagan explains she lives in the castle not for free and she can earn money because of it. Then Chastel tells Zagan to do it more gently because she feels pressured. But not so long after that, Chastel sees the mad Valifor. Chastel notices that she saw Valifor earlier in town and greets her, but Valifor forbids Chastel to talk with her without cause instead. Even Valifor calls her tailhead. Hearing that, Chastel wonders what she did to Valifor. Valifor leaves and Zagan explains to Chastel that Valifor's father was killed by a sacred sword wielder. He adds that Chastel is not responsible for it and he doesn't expect Chastel to justify herself to Valifor. It makes Chastel tell Zagan that it is better for Chastel to leave instead, but Zagan doesn't give permission and neglects her. Zagan mentions that Valifor is from a proud race. He doubts that pride will let her do anything foolish. Suddenly it is heard that Chastel screams. It turns out Valifor gave her a frog. It has been 3 times in a little time. It makes Zagan laugh at Chastel. Chastel then talks about her pride that keeps her from doing anything foolish, like what Zagan told her earlier. but Zagan thinks that it is a result of Valifor trying to harass Chastil without resorting to Valifor's power. Valifor is still a child after all, so it is not strange that she would express herself that way. Then Chastil thinks that Zagan treats Valifor so softly. But not so long after that, some frogs come to Chastil again and surely Chastil screams again. Seeing that, Zagan thinks that Chastil is really useless outside of a fight. Then Zagan leaves, but before that, Zagan tells Chastil that at least she seems to feel a little bit better at the moment. Because of it, Chastil wonders if Zagan worried about her. Then there is a scene when Valifor is writing a diary again. She is writing about Chastil, an angelic knight who lives in the Archdemon's castle. So Valifor gave her many animals like cockroaches and snakes. Even Chastil is so crap only being given a banana peel. As an angelic knight, it is so lame. Valifor starts to pity Chastil and Valifor also thinks there is no challenge in it. After that, Zagan comes to Valifor's room. After that, Chastil and Nephi are taking a hot bath. Nephi explains that Zagan is nice enough to clean the hot bath so that she can do the hot bath. Not so long after that, Chastil realizes how the two of them can easily do the hot bath together. Then Nephi tells them that the two of them do the hot bath a lot lately, even washing each other's hair and clinging to each other. Chastil is really shocked to hear it. But it turns out Nephi means that it is Valifor, not Nephi. When Chastil confirms who the person that Nephi means, Nephi realizes that Chastil intended to ask about Zagan. Back in Valifor's room, Valifor asks Zagan if he wants to lecture her about what she did to Chastil. Then Zagan tells her that no prank during meals or involving food. After that, Zagan asks her if she wants to keep living in the castle. So Zagan and Nephi assume she would, but Zagan thinks that he should check how Valifor feels. Furthermore, he tells Valifor if she has got something that needs doing, she can answer after it's taken care of and she's free to do as she likes. Zagan and Nephi will always be waiting. Valifor thanks him for that. Then Valifor got a dream about her father. In the dream, the killer of her father seems to be Sir Raphael. After that, Valifor comes to Chastil's room and Chastil is sleeping. It looks like Valifor wants to attack Chastil, but then Valifor just squeezes her cheeks. Valifor thinks that it would be easier if Chastil would draw her sword in anger. After that, Nephi calls Zagan and informs him that Valifor is gone. It is seen that Valifor is writing a diary again. She is telling how Zagan asked her to be his and Nephi's daughter. She is surprised because of it, but she feels happy anyway. It makes her turn back to the day she first came to the castle, and it makes her realize that at the moment she can feel the warm feeling in her chest. She confesses herself that she likes how Zagan patted her head and when Nephi hugged her. Also when Zagan taught her and Nephi cooked. But it turns out Valifor concludes if she stays in the castle, she will forget her revenge and she will want to stay with Zagan and Nephi. So she thinks she can't stay there any longer. So about the diary, she calls it Archdemon Observation Log. Deep in her heart, he thanks Zagan for wanting her to be his daughter. Valifor comes to the Archdemon castle. She thinks she should be able to find enough power to kill a sacred sword wielder. Since she came there before, Zagan arranged it so she could get inside. She is aware if she sneaks in and takes things without him knowing, she will be betraying him. Yet she needs power anyway. But when she is about to open the door, Sir Raphael comes. Valifor wonders if he is following her. Soon she notices that he is a sacred sword from his smell and the sword. Right after seeing the sword, she notices he is the one who killed her father. She remembers his face too, but he tells her that he has never met a girl like her before. It makes her angry and shows him that she is a dragon. And because of it, Sir Raphael is ready with his sword. Valifor realizes she should have known that she wouldn't stand a chance against a sacred sword wielder without a plan. She calls Zagan, but Zagan is already there and he is trying to stop Sir Raphael. He tells Sir Raphael when he told him to do whatever he wanted, but at least Sir Raphael should have a curfew. Because of it, Valifor asks Zagan the reason he does it. Zagan just says that he has an inconvenient bit of transportation on hand, so I had him send Zagan there since it was obvious where Valifor would go. Not so long after that, Barbatos appears. Knowing Zagan's explanation, she explains that it is not what she meant. But remembering she betrayed Zagan and she saved her. Because of it, she is crying. Zagan explains that he could understand what she felt. It makes her change her dragon's form and she apologizes. Zagan relieves because he made it in time. Suddenly, from the other castle, Nephi is asking Zagan about Valifor. Zagan tells her that Valifor is alright and he will be back after he has dealt with another matter. Then Zagan continues to talk with Sir Raphael. He says that he did warn Sir Raphael about what would happen if he stepped out of bounds. It makes Sir Raphael laugh a bit, how a sorcerer is defending someone else. Quickly, Zagan explains that Valifor is not just anyone because she is his daughter. It makes Valifor surprised. After knowing it, Sir Raphael thinks that it sounds like a suitable reason. Then Zagan asks Valifor to step back. He is about to attack Sir Raphael and threatens him. Sir Raffle has no choice. When he shows his power, Zagan's sorceries are being broken apart. After that, Sir Raffle explains that the blade once defeated an Archdemon and burned all their sorcery away with the flames of purification. It is an ability only accessible by a true wielder of a sacred sword. It makes Barbatos surprised. Valefor then asks Zagan why he provoked Sir Raphael into getting serious, and Zagan replies that it is because he promised her that he would teach her how to get revenge. Soon Zagan comes closer to Sir Raphael and attacks him. Then Sir Raphael is surprised to see Zagan's casting spell isn't vanishing. So because a sacred sword had cut through one before, Zagan had learned from Archdemon Marcosia's legacy and used it to create new defensive measures. The spell continually draws in mana from the environment in order to maintain itself. Zagan tells Sir Raphael that even the purifying flame won't be enough to overcome it in an instant, and Zagan calls it Heaven's Scale. Sir Raphael is pushed back, but he is about to attack Zagan again. Zagan wonders if Sir Raphael still managed to grip his sword, because it would have been enough to break most people's arms. Zagan defends Sir Raphael's attacks again with his Heaven's Scale. After that, Zagan says that he guesses it can only take 3 blows. A decent showing for a test, but has a long way to go before considering it complete. It makes Barbatos mad. He tells Zagan to stop trying to show off how easy he has got it. Then Sir Raphael is about to attack Zagan again. Soon Zagan hits him and Sir Raphael is pushed back again. Zagan explains with those flames of purification gone, he can use other sorcery too. It makes Valefor amazed, but in a funny way, yet Zagan kind of likes that. After that, Zagan assumes that Sir Raphael can't stand anymore, since angelic knights are like sorcerers. Even with the blessing of the anointed armor, a critical blow like earlier will take him out of the battle. But it turns out Sir Raphael stands up again with some bleeding on his head. Sir Raphael admits that Zagan has incredible power, but seeing that Zagan is so shocked and wonders what exactly Sir Raphael is. Meanwhile, Chastil asks Nephi where Zagan is. She is going after him. Then Chastil is seeing a shadow on Barbatos' sorcery, and Nephi tells her that Barbatos took Zagan to Valefor. Chastil asks if Valefor is alright, and Nephi tells her that Valefor is alright. But Nephi adds that Zagan is defending Valefor from someone who was attacking her. Knowing that, Chastil just thinks that she should go. But soon, Chastil realizes that it is her fault that Valefor left in the first place. She is overthinking about why she should go, since the church is likely to kill her at the moment. The fact that she sides with the sorcerers just makes her feel pure selfishness. Seeing Chastil, Nephi asks her if she is alright. Then Chastil asks her if she is not going. Nephi explains Zagan told her to wait. After that, Chastil tells her how she envies her a bit. But hearing that, Nephi says that she envies her too instead. It is because Chastil can go after Zagan. So Nephi hopes she can stand at his side to help him when it comes to fighting. It makes Chastil cry. She realizes how she is stupid to become Zagan and Nephi's enemy after they have both helped her so much. Chastil hopes she can help Zagan too, but she's an angelic knight anyway. Chastil doesn't know what to do, and being poisoned has bothered her more than she thought. Then Chastil explains that she didn't want to turn her blade against Zagan and wanted to fight by his side. Suddenly, Nephi tells Chastil that she knows what to do at the moment. Nephi continues to talk about when they first talked. Chastil said that Zagan seemed lonely to her, and Nephi was kind of envious because she thought she was the only one who'd understand Zagan. But she was happy because it meant there were people out there who could understand Zagan. Deep in Chastil's mind, she is thinking that Nephi is stronger at the moment because she loves and is loved by Zagan. Soon, Chastil realizes that Nephi is trying to comfort her, and she wonders why Nephi is doing it. Nephi tells her because they are friends, then Chastil is jumping into the Barbatos sorcery. Back to Sir Raphael is seeing that his wounds are healing. Zagan thinks that the rumor about dragon flesh granting special powers were true, but instead he congratulates Valefor for that, because she can start thinking about how she intends to punish him. Then she says that her father was her pride and joy. So if her father's name is Arobas, the dragon that Sir Raphael killed in the past. It makes Barbatos and Zagan surprised, because Arobas was the legendary dragon, and the fact that Sir Raphael killed it makes him even more surprised. Valefor continues to explain her father, so her father used his wisdom to help the people, and for his guidance they called him the sage dragon Arobas. And one day, a group of angelic knights came calling on him. His father left with those knights and never returned home. After 7 days, she decided to search for him. But she found out Sir Raphael stabbed into his father's corpse, and he is drinking Arobas' blood. Instantly, Valefor was so shocked and cried, knowing that Sir Raphael is about to attack Valefor. But Zagan quickly stops him. He gets Sir Raphael so that he is pushed back again. But Sir Raphael stands up quickly and attacks Valefor. It makes Valefor use sorcery too. But suddenly, Chastil comes and defends Sir Raphael with her sword. Valifor wonders how Chastil can come. Barbatos in an instant just realized that he didn't close his shadow. Meanwhile, Zagan notices how Chastil can stop Raffle's sword and Valifor's sorcery at the same time. Then Valifor asks Chastil what she is doing. Chastil explains that she was the one who intruded upon Valifor's home, but she asked Valifor to just talk civilly. After that, Zagan says that it is about time that Valifor can manage to do that much. Then he asks Sir Raffle what he's trying to accomplish, since there is no enjoyment from killing someone who is practically begging to die. He adds that the second Sir Raffle heard the name Orobas, all his bloodlust disappeared. After that, Chastil tells Zagan that it is Sir Raffle who summoned her with that letter. He is Orobas from the Reconciliation faction. When Zagan asks Sir Raffle for the explanation, something is happening. Zagan questions about what the miasma is. There is a big creature. Barbatos thinks it is a demon. Zagan thinks that it is maybe a golem that was modeled after a demon. Then the creature is absorbing mana from its surroundings to power itself. But then Valifor tells Zagan that it is a guardian of the Archdemon's castle, so the shockwave from the sacred swords clashing must have broken the seal. Barbatos asks Zagan what to do because it can devour all of them at that rate. Zagan is trying to use his sorcery, but it doesn't work on a golem. Then the golem is about to attack, and quickly Zagan asks the rest to get clear. It turns out Valifor doesn't move and she almost gets the attack. But Sir Raffle defends her by his body. It makes Zagan mad at the golem. He uses Heaven's Scale to attack the golem, and finally the golem is shattered. When Zagan comes to Valifor, it turns out Sir Raffle's wound is too close with his heart. Zagan questions why Sir Raffle did it. Sir Raffle tells Zagan that all he has done is his duty, and it is no concern of Zagan's. But Zagan wonders why Sir Raffle is trying to stand. He asks Sir Raffle to not move, because Sir Raffle is attempting some kind of redemption. Then Zagan asks Sir Raffle to tell them everything. It is seen that Sir Raffle talks to Valifor. He says that Valifor told him that he killed Orobas, but he denied it. He says that the great dragon could never be laid low by one with his meager strength. It makes Valifor mad because she saw him who was devouring her father's corpse. She assumes that he had to have tricked her father somehow. Then Sir Raffle asks her if her father was so feeble that he could be killed by human treachery. Sir Raffle continues to explain that he sought out Orobas on that day in order to slay a particular foe. Furthermore, he says that in Orobas' magnanimity, he offered his help. By foe, Sir Raffle means a demon, the entity spoken of in legends. It makes the rest surprised. Valifor is mad at Sir Raffle and thinks Sir Raffle is fooling her. Then Sir Raffle explains he had thought the demons were consigned to history, but a demon had appeared in modern times with many angelic knights and the great dragon paying the price. Sir Raffle also tells her that it is likely they will return in force in the near future. Suddenly, Zagan says that he encountered the shadow of a demon, but he doesn't know if they intend on coming back to the world, but they do still exist out there somehow. That is why he has been looking through old texts to find a way to counter them. It makes Valifor assume that her father fought and lost to a demon. But quickly, Sir Raffle tells her that Orobas was not defeated, since Orobas overcame his enemy at the cost of his life. Then Valifor wonders who should she hates, and Sir Raffle tells her she should not feel hate, but pride. He explains it is because Orobas gave his life to defend her and the world in which she lives. Furthermore, he says that if killing him will restore her pride in Orobas, he will gladly offer his head. After that, he explains that the demons are a menace. If they were to return to the world, humanity stands no chance. So preparations must be made. That is why Orobas told him to go on living. So is what made him drinking Orobas' blood in the midst of that horrible battlefield. But then again, Sir Raffle says that his duty is coming to an end because the seeds of reconciliation have finally bloomed. Hearing that, Zagan says that Chastil is right. Sir Raffle was really the one behind the Reconciliation faction. After that, Sir Raffle tells him that the millennia-long vendetta between the church and sorcerers must end, so that both can survive the coming storm. Suddenly, Barbatos says that Sir Raffle can't expect anyone to buy that. He reminds Sir Raffle about how many hundreds of sorcerers' bloods is on his hands, but at the moment, Sir Raffle is all about coexistence. Hearing that, Sir Raffle can only agree with him, and he thinks he can never bear the flag of reconciliation. But it makes him think that the Maiden of the Sacred Sword was necessary. In an instant, Chastil tells him that she still hasn't agreed to any of that. But not so long after that, the golem is about to wake up and Zagan wants to take care of it again. Chastil asks Zagan what he will do. He says he wants to break it even though golem is not his expertise. Quickly, Sir Raffle tells him that it is not only golem, but the combination of a golem and something else. So the creature is a chimera made from demons. Sir Raffle is so sure because it is the very same demon that Orobas and he slew. It turns out Archdemon Marcosius took its carcass and made it into a chimera. Knowing that, Zagan thinks that whether it is reanimated corpse or not, the thing is still a demon. even though it is not as strong as it was, but it stands to reason that just punching it won't make it fall apart. But because of it, Zagan thinks he can test out the other aspect at the moment. Suddenly, Chastil talks to Zagan and asks him to fight at his side. But Zagan responds by saying that he doesn't think she is clever enough to be scheming. Hearing that, Chastil wonders if it is a compliment or an insult. After that, she shows the purifying flames of her sword. Zagan is a bit amazed to see it, but he notices her purifying flames aren't as wild as Sir Raffle's. Not so long after that, she is going forward to attack the golem. Zagan is a bit surprised because Chastil is not wearing her anointed armor and he thinks she will die because of it. When the golem is about to attack, Chastil uses the purifying flames and asks Zagan to run. But Zagan tells her that she is so bold to give him that order, he hits the golem instead. After that, Zagan sees the black haze and he assumes that it is its essence, which is the one that can make the golem to reform even if its stone body is shattered. Quickly, Chastil is going forward and using her sword to attack again. Zagan notices how fast Chastil is, even he thinks if she had done that when they first met, she might have killed him. Then Zagan uses Heaven's Phosphor to attack the golem, and it is dead. Chastil wonders what Zagan did to the golem, and Zagan tells her about sorcery he named as Heaven's Scale. It is a shield that absorbs mana from its surroundings to increase its durability, so he inverted it and cast it inside of the golem. After absorbing mana, then the sorcery ignites it. And the black flames are a sign that mana itself is the fuel. Furthermore, he explains that Heaven's Scale and Heaven's Phosphor are a 2-in-1 sorcery, but lacking of efficiency, so it needs improvement if he wants to affect an actual demon. Then Chastil compliments him as sorcerer and Zagan also tells her that she is stronger than he thought. Chastil is so excited because he called her name, something he has never done before. Zagan says she deserves that respect as Nephi's friend, but it makes her a bit bad move and she tells him that she didn't come there exclusively for Nephi's sake, yet she can fight besides Zagan. Because of it, Zagan talks about the fact how he is a sorcerer and Chastil is an angelic knight. Deep down, Zagan feels nice having someone he can trust to watch his back. Suddenly, Valifor calls Zagan, and Sir Raffle says that he has just borne witness to the swiftest blade among the angelic knights. Hearing that, Zagan tells him to not talk too much since healing sorcery isn't his forte. After that, Sir Raffle tells Chastil that her actions have made her the symbol of angelic knight's cause. Those who share his views will lend her their strength. Then Chastil assumes that the reason he used Oroba's name was because no one would have believed you were behind it. But Sir Raffle explains that it is more than that, since creating the Reconciliation faction was Oroba's idea. Sir Raffle's continued survival is thanks to him, and he couldn't think of a better name of his leader. But then Zagan asks Sir Raffle the reason he killed so many sorcerers. Sir Raffle tells Zagan that he wishes he hadn't killed them, but they would always attack him and he doesn't understand why. He thinks he always tries to have a friendly dialogue and laugh, but the sorcerers would always attack as if they were threatened. So killing them is Sir Raffle's way to defend himself. Hearing that, Zagan is so surprised and asks Sir Raffle if he realizes how antagonist he came across at the bar where they met. Sir Raffle is confused instead, and he tells Zagan that he was warning Zagan of the danger to Chastil. After that, Chastil brings up a topic about how Sir Raffles asked how many sorcerers she killed when they first met. But Sir Raffles says it is because she couldn't serve as the head of the movement if she'd been acting as he had. And her answer back then made him sure she was the one. Because of it, Zagan looks so shocked and tells Sir Raffle to take a good look at himself in the mirror, since his actions make people think that he is a bad guy. Then Sir Raffle asks Chastil to return to the church, and he will deal with those who would seek to eliminate her. He is sure that he can last at least that long. Knowing that, Chastil asks him if he knows someone who is trying to kill him. He just says that he will be surprised if she has no idea who the person is. Furthermore, Sir Raffles asks Valifor to kill him after the last task is finished. Then Valifor asks him what kind of dragon Oroba's was, and he tells her a grand one. The fact that he fought besides Oroba's may have been the most profound in his entire life, and Sir Raffle leaves. After that, Zagan asks Valifor if she is sure about that, and she has no idea, and she doesn't know if killing Sir Raffle is right anymore either. Hearing that, Zagan tells her that she does the right thing. He asks her to come back home since Nephi is waiting for them. Deep down, Zagan doesn't know if giving up on revenge is the right decision. Valifor's hatred may grow more bitter in time, and she may be unsure of the decision. But Valifor and Zagan have decided to stand at Nephi's side anyway. Meanwhile, in the church, some knights report to Cladwell that they haven't found Chastil and apologize for it. But he tells them to take a rest, and it is not their fault. But right after the knights left, Cladwell is so mad, and it turns out that it is him who tried to kill her. Furthermore, he says that sorcerers are evil, as are those who would side with them. He thinks if it weren't for the objections of the other cardinals, Chastil would have been executed at the moment. He also realizes that two of the sacred swords being unaccounted for. So he assumes if Chestill had died, the sacred sword would have passed into new hands, who is free of sin. Not so long after that, Sir Raffle comes to his room with a lot of blood around his hand. Cladwell asks what happened to him, and Sir Raffle told him that he came by to tie up a loose end. But Cladwell tells him that Sir Raffle needs treatment. Deep down, Cladwell doesn't know what Sir Raffle is after, but he judges him as a sinner too. Yet Cladwell acts he wants to treat Sir Raffle's wounds, but Sir Raffle uses the opportunity to cut Claw's hand. Sir Raffle then explains that he doesn't want to be touched by hands drenched in poison. It makes Cladwell shout, but Sir Raffle shuts his mouth using his shoes. Sir Raffle says that it is the first time he has gone out of his way to kill someone. Sir Raffle also tells him that both Cladwell and himself shouldn't interfere with the younger generation. Deep down, Cladwell hopes someone will save him, but the three knights don't come yet. Then Sir Raffle says that Cladwell gets to die by one of the sacred swords he cherishes so much. Furthermore, Sir Raffle says that he would have thought Cladwell would look happier and kills the pastor after that. After killing him, Sir Raffle also says that he will be joining Cladwell soon enough. Back to Chestill. Chestill tells Zagan and Nephi that the one who poisoned her is Cladwell. She had suspicions before, since he would always had absolute faith in the righteousness of the church. Hearing that, Zagan tells her that no one who goes around waving the flag of justice ever lives up to their own claims. Because of it, Chestill says that Zagan is always such a harsh judge. Chestill also thinks the church has taken a strange turn, so she will be back to church. Suddenly, Zagan tells her that the tea Chestill is drinking is poisoned. It surprises her. Quickly, Zagan says that he was joking and he is drinking the tea instead. He tells her that she should learn to be more suspicious, or it is likely to happen again. It makes Chestill mad. She tells him that she gets his point, but he made her almost spill the tea that Nephi made. But Zagan explains that Nephi wasn't the one who made it. Chestill assumes it is Valifor who made it for her. Because of it, Chestill tries to talk to her. But when she is about to pat her head, Valifor avoids it. Deep down, Valifor doesn't expect she and herself to necessarily get along. Yet when Chestill is about to leave, Valifor tells her to come visit again. The fact that Valifor calls her real name makes Chestill touched until she cries. After that, Chestill tells Zagan, Nephi, and Valifor that she is not sure she can head up something like a reconciliation faction, but she will do whatever she can to make the world a better place for all of them. Suddenly, Sir Raffle appears with formal suit. It makes Chestill surprised. He explains it is because the blessing from Arobas, so the addition of elvish healing made his wounds barely an inconvenience. The fact that Sir Raffle and Zagan are chatting so casually disturbs Chestill. Zagan wonders why, and Chestill says it is because she thought Sir Raffle was dead. But it turns out, it is Sir Raffle who told Zagan about what happened to Cladwell. And it is revealed that it is Sir Raffle who made tea for her. After that, Chestill tells Sir Raffle that she is glad that he is alive. But Sir Raffle tells her that she is so naive, and if she keeps it up, she is likely to be struck down when she least expects it. Then Zagan tells Sir Raffle the possibility of him can be a betrayer, so he tells Sir Raffle that he can't go around so obliviously. And Sir Raffle obeys him and calls him Lord. It surprises Chestill. So it turns out Zagan hires him as his butler. In other words, he is no longer commander of the Angelic Knights. It makes her even more surprised. So the barrier detected him when Sir Raffle collapsed on the outside of the castle. In that moment, he came to offer his head, as promised. But when Zagan asks Valifor's decision, she asks Sir Raffle to serve Zagan and Nephi instead. Zagan thinks by having a sacred sword and its wielder nearby will make a huge difference in his studies on the Archdemon brand. Not so long after that, Nephi informs them that Sir Raffle is quite a cook too, and she is thinking about having him teach her. Deep down, Zagan also thinks that Sir Raffle is weirdly easy to relate to, considering Zagan thinks he has a scary laugh too. Suddenly, Valifor asks if Sir Raffle misses his hand, but he only replies that it is nothing for her to concern herself with, yet she uses her sorcery to make iron fists for him. She explains that it is the armor she used as Valifor. Because of it, Sir Raffle realizes that he knows so much to both Arobas and his daughter, and he wants to dedicate his life to serving her. But actually, Valifor thinks he is overacting. Then Chestill asks if she is the only who is moving out, and Zagan says yes, but he tells her she can drop by any time. He is sure that Nephi and Valifor will be glad. It makes her cry again. Then Chestill asks what about him, and he tells her that she makes decent enough company to share a drink with. Because of it, she smiles widely. Then she leaves and says goodbye. When Chestill is gone, Zagan says that she makes such a fuss. But suddenly, Barbatos asks if they forget him. So he took a nap earlier and he asks for food. But Zagan tells him that he needs Barbatos to go too, because he thinks Chestill could use protecting for the time being. Knowing that, Barbatos asks if Zagan thinks he is a babysitter. but Zagan says that he will be paid for that. Zagan also says that Barbatos left the tab to him last time. Barbatos just responds that Zagan should take care of his talented friends better. Then Barbatos leaves to follow Chastil. After that, Zagan notices if Chastil is upset and expecting something at the same time. It makes Zagan apologize for leaving her last night and doing romantic things. Because of it, Sir Raffle closes Valifor's eyes. It is seen that Valifor is writing a diary again. She thought she wouldn't write the diary again, but she is back in the castle anyway. She thinks that there is no escaping an Archdemon. She also almost wants to tear out the last page she wrote, but in the end, she wants to leave it as a reminder to herself. So when Zagan came to her rescue, she was relieved. Then she explains how Neffy, Zagan, even Sir Raphael and Chastil helped her. Valifor has no idea what she can do to repay them, so her goal is to be stronger because she wants to do something to them too. After that, she writes about Sir Raphael, who is a newbie in the castle. The guy who she thought killing her father, while the fact is he respected her father and ended up losing his arm to protect her. She is still confused about how to feel about him. She also writes how Sir Raphael is good at cooking and is a great partner for Neffy. In sweet cuisine, he is excellent. But she has one problem with him. Whenever she tries to observe Zagan and Neffy's couple activities, Sir Raphael tries to get in her way. So the day Neffy told Zagan that she learned to make macaron from Sir Raphael. Then Sir Raphael told the history behind macarons, how the macaroni and macarons are not the same, but the making process has similarity. Hearing that, Zagan said that Sir Raphael is rather well informed on sorcerer's cooking for an angelic knight. After that, Zagan asked how to eat it. Then Neffy replies by hand, but because it is so delicate, he has to pick it gently. But it makes Zagan awkward and doesn't want to pick it. Neffy ends up picking it up for Zagan and doing kind of romantic things. But soon, Sir Raphael snuck behind Valifor. But Valifor avoided him while she made sure Zagan and Neffy didn't notice her. Right after Zagan tasted the macarons, Neffy asked how it was, and Zagan told her that it is a big world out there. Then he offered Neffy to taste it too. He added that he would hold it for her. It made Neffy awkward. When Valifor wanted to look at them, Sir Raphael closed her eyes because she is still too young. After that, Valifor told Sir Raphael that Zagan and Neffy even barely holding hands. She thought that it would take a decade for them to kiss. Then Zagan and Neffy noticed them and they pretended as if nothing happened, but they didn't want to disturb Zagan and Neffy. When Valifor is still writing, she is called by Neffy. It turns out that Chastil is coming over to spend the night. Neffy is excited about cooking a feast for her. Then Neffy, Zagan, and Valifor are walking to the town. Some citizens are talking about how they get along. It turns out they go shopping. But then Neffy asks Zagan to stop by Manuela's store for a bit. Zagan thinks it's a bad idea, but they go there in the end. It turns out Neffy gives Manuela macarons to repay Manuela for teaching her all this time. Hearing that, Manuela tells her that she got new clothes stocks for Neffy as well as Valifor. She asks Neffy to wear it. Neffy says that she has no time, but Manuela says she will do it fastly. Then Zagan sees a phonograph, which he calls as a rare thing. He explains to Valifor that there is a variety of sorcerers who deal with sounds and music, so it was created by one such ancient sorcerer named Victor I. He had a fixation on quality of sound. He thinks that the phonograph held on to by some eccentric. Valifor is curious about the phonograph, but Manuela tells her that it is broken. It turns out some of the street kids found it and were hoping to sell it, but none of the stores were interested, so they ended up leaving to Manuela. It makes Zagan remember he snatched up anything he thought he might sell too. Then there's a past scene when Zagan tried to snatch up something, but it ended up other boys snatch it first. Back to the present life, Zagan decided to buy the phonograph. It makes Manuela surprised. Zagan gave Manuela so much money for that. But she thinks it is way too much. It can be used for buying the street kids hundreds of clothes. Meanwhile, Zagan thinks the money suits the phonograph, and he adds that Manuela can spend the money up to her. After that, Manuela retells Zagan that the phonograph is broken. But still, Zagan doesn't mind, and he thinks he can fix it with his sorcery skill. In the castle, Chastil thinks that she and Barbatos are too early to come. Sir Raphael asks them to wait for Zagan, Neffy, and Valifor. After Sir Raphael leaves them, Chastil thinks that it is still remarkable that Sir Raphael is a butler now. Then she is talking to Barbatos, but he doesn't respond to her. Not so long after that, Neffy, Zagan, and Barbatos arrive. After that, Chastil informs Zagan that she hasn't had time to go home lately because she is so busy. She adds that Cardinal Cladwell's death was declared an accident and it makes her taking on nearly all of his unfinished clerical work. Zagan then tells Barbatos that she is not invited. It makes Barbatos mad and he tells Zagan that it won't kill Zagan to feed him. Furthermore, Valifor asks Neffy if they got enough food for the minion. It makes Barbatos even more mad. Because of it, Zagan slaps Barbatos because Zagan thinks that he insults Valifor. Nephi is about to prepare the meal. But soon, Chastil wants to help. In the kitchen, Valifor asks Chastil if Chastil can cook. Chastil tells Valifor that she can handle some dishes even though not as great as Nephi. But then Chastil almost drops the vegetables. Luckily, Valifor uses her sorcery. Meanwhile, Zagan learns some sorcery stuffs to fix the phonograph. Then he asks Barbatos to not touch anything. After that, Barbatos wonders what Zagan is doing, and Zagan explains he is fixing ancient things. Furthermore, Barbatos tells Zagan that he gotta do something about Chastil because she's gonna die at that rate. Hearing that, Zagan asks Barbatos if there are people in the church trying to kill her. Barbatos explains that it goes way beyond that, since there's a whole comedy of errors with her every night. It turns out Chastil is so clumsy in doing the unfinished clerical work. It makes Barbatos uses his sorcery to reorganize the work, but not so long after that, Chastil drops the work again. It makes Barbatos stressed, and he thinks she or he will die because of it. Zagan responds if he doesn't care if Barbatos dies, and he brings up a topic, how he treated Barbatos all the drinks he wanted back then. On the other hand, Nephi is asking about the soup that Chastil is making. She thinks it is good and asks Nephi to try it. But soon, Nephi hurriedly vomited. She tells Valifor that it is worse than the muddy water she had to drink when she was young. That Nephi thinks that it is a threat to her home's dinner table, and she has to do something. Nephi then says that she will probably find a way to serve it with tomorrow's breakfast. Furthermore, she asks Chastil to take a rest in her guest room. Back to Zagan, he finally manages to fix the phonograph. Then the music from the phonograph is played. Zagan explains that the interesting part of the device is people can choose different songs depending on the occasion. He thinks it is classy in a way that doesn't suit an Archdemon dinner party. After that, Sir Raffle tells Zagan that he believes he once visited a dance hall in a port town that had one of those, but then the sorcerers present attacked him, which led to him being banned from the premises. Then it is time for them to have a dinner. Chastil praises Nephi's cooking, even she says that Nephi's cooking has complex flavors. Soon, Barbatos laughs at her. He underestimates her because he thinks she doesn't know about the complex flavors at all. It makes Chastil mad. But Barbatos adds by telling her to stop sleeping with a stuffed animal. Then Chastil mentions about Poco and Barbatos laughs again. It turns out Barbatos is drunk, so Raffle gave it to him and he drank one bottle. Meanwhile, Chastil is still mad at Barbatos and they continue to argue. But then Zagan tells her that he is just drunk and he asks her to pay him no mind. After that, Nephi tells Chastil that when she collapsed from the poison, it was Barbatos who brought him to the castle. For that, Chastil appreciates Barbatos. But Barbatos asks her to save the thanks until she has grown into a finer woman. He adds that his ideal woman is someone older and open-minded who will spoil him rotten. It makes Chastil cry. Not so long after that, the phonograph is broken again. Meanwhile, Valifor says that no fighting during meals. Zagan agrees with Valifor and he asks Barbatos to apologize for that. He refuses it and tastes the soup, who turns out to be Chastil's soup. It makes Nephi surprised and asks if Barbatos is alright. Hearing that, Chastil asks Nephi if her cooking is that bad and she cries again. Then there is a scene about Zagan and Nephi. Nephi asks Zagan the reason of him bought the phonograph. And Zagan says it is just a wimp and he also wants Nephi to enjoy some music. Furthermore, Nephi brings up a topic about how Zagan always looks so sad whenever he reminisces about the past. But today, he looks different. Zagan explains it is because it reminds him of people in his childhood and he wonders if anyone he knew is still around. He hopes that they all manage to survive. Then he asks if Nephi minds if he returned it to the streets, and Nephi doesn't mind. After that, Nephi is singing and Zagan is amazed by her voice. Soon, Zagan asks her to dance and Nephi accepts Zagan's request. But then Zagan is confused how to dance. In an instant, Sir Raffle comes and offers to instruct him on the necessary steps. Raffle thinks that Zagan needs to actually move for it to be practice. Then there is a narration in the next day when the citizens of Keanoids experienced a shock. Music was playing from a back alley with children happily dancing to it. It was like a spontaneous festival that lasted all day. So Zagan ends up gives the phonograph to the street kids again. But the fact is, at the moment, Zagan and Nephi dance for the first time, and their very long story has only just begun. This is the end of an Archdemon Dilemma episode 1 to episode 12. Thank you so much for staying in this channel and watching our videos. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel so we can keep you updated with our latest contents. See you in the next video.